Hey guys, how are you doing today? So, this is my first video, first live stream of something I'm trying to start and just do. I'm trying to find new ways to basically get off my phone. I feel like I'm just on YouTube all day and just watching content, just watching videos, and I just need to get away from my phone, get away from this world, whatever it may be. But so this is a book I'm going to be reading. It's called Bruja Born, and I'm just going to read the back of it. And I'm going to be doing this at least weekly. Don't quote me. I mean, I'll probably do a little bit more, but so far at least weekly, once a week. But if we're reading a book and this is a really good book, I might do it more often. But let's just start with doing weekly, because I just trying to overachieve and just doing promises, and it doesn't work for me. So yeah, I just want to read, and I think this is kind of like a cool idea that for people that want to read books or hear someone read a book, whatever it may be. I've been wanting to do this for like over a week, but finally I have the time, and I will be changing my background. I'm ordering a green screen soon, so there's going to be a couple changes. But we're just going to be finishing books and reading them, and we'll go from there. So I'm just going to read the back of it, and then we'll start reading. So it says, Lula Mortis feels like an outsider. Her sister's newfound enchantress powers have wounded her in ways that Lula's bruja healing powers can't fix, and she longs for the comfort her family once brought her. Thank the Dios for Max, her sweet, steady boyfriend who sees a beauty within her and brings light to her life. Then a bus crash turns Lula's world upside down. Her classmates are all dead, including Max, but Lula was born to heal, to fix. She can bring Max back, even if it means seeking help from her sisters and defying death itself. But magic that defies the laws of the Dios is dangerous, unpredictable, and when the dust settles, Max is the only one who's brought back. All right, this seems really excited. I'm just going to roll my intro, and then we will get to reading. All right, so we're back, and I'm just gonna read out loud, and then we'll see how this book goes. I'm really excited about this book. I've had it for months, and I'm finally getting some time to read. Yeah, so let's do this. I need just to be off of my phone and just go into another world. So we're doing that today. So Bruja Born. There we go. So it has like a little map. I just want to show you the guys the book a little bit more so you can see it. There we go. I turned out the lights to do some little mood lighting, but I need some lights to read. But next live I should have things more set up. So right now it's a little bit crazy. So part 1, the heart. They say, and then I'm going to read this little quote right here. And also I'm going to do a little bit of commentary if it calls for it, just so keep things alive and stuff like that. And I'm just going to read the quote that's at the top of chapter 1. They say El Corazon has 2 hearts, the black thing in his chest and the one he wears on his sleeve. Tales of the Dios, Felipe Tomas San Justino. And then we start. This is a love story. At least it was before my sister sent me to hell. Though technically, Los Lagos isn't hell or isn't hell or the underworld. It's another realm inhabited by creatures, spirits, and wonders I'd only read about in my family's book of cantos. The place where I was kept, where my whole family was imprisoned by a power-hungry witch that was as close to hell as I hope I'll ever get. But that's another story. Lula, you ready? My sister Alex asked. I stare at my open closet and can't find the socks that go with my step team uniform. I rifle through bins of underwear and mismatched socks and costume jewelry. Lula? Alex repeats, softly this time. For the past 7 or so months, Alex has been extra everything. Extra patient, extra loving, extra willing to do my chores. She means well, but she doesn't understand how suffocating her attention is. How the quiet in her eyes drives a sick feeling in my gut because I'm trying to be okay for her, for our family and friends. I think I've gotten pretty good at faking it, but sometimes, like now, I snap. Give me a minute. I don't mean to snap, honestly, but everything that's come out of my mouth lately has been hard and angry, and I don't know how to make it stop. That's not who I am. That's not who I was before. Rose, our younger sister, walks into my room wearing long sleeves and jeans, even though there's a heat wave and it's mid-June. Rose has the gift of the veil. She can see and speak to the dead. Spirit magic runs on a different wavelength than the rest of our powers, and being so tuned in to that realm means she's always cold. Rose takes a seat on my bed and picks at a tear in the blanket. Can I go to the pregame with you and Max? She asks me. I've never been to one before. No, I say. Why not? When she frowns, her round face gets flushed. Sometimes I forget that underneath all her power, she's just a 14-year-old kid trying to fit in. Because I say, digging through my dirty laundry, it's just for the team. You can drive to the game with Ma and Alex. And Dad, Rose's voice is a quiet addendum. Right, Dad. After 7 years of being missing and presumed dead, he's in our lives again. It's an odd feeling having him back, one we all share but haven't talked about. He has no memory of where he has been, tongue twisted. Where he's been, and even if he can't say it out loud, maybe we've moved on without him. Alex was always the one who said he was gone for good, and perhaps deep down inside. I thought that too. But I always corrected her. I was the one who believed he'd return, because sometimes false hope is better than being completely hopeless. I believed in a lot of things once. And Dad, I say. The three of us exchanged a look of unease. There are too many things that are unsaid between us. I wish we could go back to being loud and rowdy and something like happy, but it's taking longer than I thought. So here are the things we leave unsaid. 1. We're brujas, witches. Magical bamfs with powers gifted by the dios are gods. A house full of magic is bound to cause some friction. And after what Alex did, there is plenty of friction. 2. My sister Alex cast a canto that banished our entire family to a realm called Los Lagos. She got 2 traps across its magical hills and meadows with Nova, the hot brujo we never talk about, and her now girlfriend, Rishi. Meanwhile, I was trapped in a freaking tree. A big, evil tree. I was surrounded by all-consuming darkness, and even though we're home and safe, I still feel that pull, like something is sucking at my soul and my light. And this house is too small and crowded, and I don't know how to make this fear stop. I don't know how to get over it. 3. I can't stand looking at my reflection anymore. I took all the mirrors in my bedroom down, even the one that was on my altar, to keep away malicious spirits. They don't need it. One look at my face and they'll be scared off. Ready when you are, Alex says again, her guilt radioactive. Technically, the attack that left my face hideously disfigured with scars was Alex's fault. I'm a terrible sister for thinking it. Forgive and forget and all of that. But the maloscuros that came looking for her attacked me. Their vicious claws raked across my face. Sometimes when I'm alone, I can smell the rot of their skin, see the glow of their yellow eyes, feel their presence even though they're long gone and vanished. To be fair, Alex has scars from the maloscuros too, right across her heart, but she can cover them up. I can't. Not naturally, anyway. Having a sister who is an all-powerful enchantress has its benefits. There are a million problems going on in the world, and here I am, worrying about scars. But deep down, I know it's more than the scars. I've been called beautiful my whole life. I've been aware of the way men's eyes trailed my legs since I was far too young. The way boys in school stuttered when they spoke to me. The way they offered me gifts. Bodega bought candies and stolen flowers and handwritten notes with yes/no scribbled in pencil. My Aunt Maria Azul told me beauty was power. My mother told me beauty was a gift. If they're right, then what am I now? All I know is I left fragments of myself in Los Lagos and I don't know how to get them back. So I turn to my sister because she owes me one. But before we can get started, my mother knocks on my open door, Dad trailing behind her like it's a wrath. Trailing behind her like a wrath. Wrath? Good, you're all together. Can I borrow you guys for a minute? Ma asks. She rests a white laundry basket against one hip and waves a sage bundle like a white flag. I want to try the memory canto on your father before I leave. The sun's in the right. We're busy, I say, too angry again. I don't like talking to my mother like this. Hell, any other time I'd catch hands for speaking to her like that. But we're all a mess. Guilt, anger, love, plus a lot of magic is a potent mix. Something's got to give, and I don't know if I want to be here when it does. Mom throws a sage tip on top of the clean laundry, scratches her head with a long red nail. Her black-lined eyes look skyward, as if begging the Dios for patience. She makes to speak, but Dad places his hands on her arm. She tenses at his touch, and he withdraws a hand. We all have to pull our weight around here, Ma tells me, a challenge in her deep coffee brown eyes that I don't dare look away from. Dad doesn't, I say, and feel Rose and Alex retreat 2 paces away from me. Traitors. He's trying. You haven't healed so much as a paper cut since. I widen my eyes waiting for her to say it. Since Los Lagos. Since the attack. But she can't. You have Alex, I say, turning my thumb toward my sister. She's an enchantress. Healing comes with a package. Lula. Ma pinches the bridge of her nose and trails off as my father tries to be the voice of reason. Carmen, he whispers, let them be. It's okay. But my mother doesn't fully let up. How much longer will you keep having your sister glamour you? Alex looks at her toes. All that power in her veins, and she can't escape being shamed by her mother. I might be just a healer, but I match my mom's gaze. We share more than our light brown skin and wild black curls. We share the same fire in our hearts. Until it stops hurting, I say, and don't let my voice waver. We share a sadness too. I see it in her, woven into the wrinkles around her eyes. So she just hands me a black bundle, my uniform socks, and says, we'll see you at the game. Close the door, I tell Rose after our parents head downstairs. I sit cross-legged on my faded flower pattern rugs as Alex prepares for the canto. Since she embraced her power, her brown eyes have tiny gold flecks and her hair falls in thick, lustrous waves. She even wears it loose around her shoulders, and I think it's because Rishi likes to twirl it around her finger when they think we're not looking. There's a light inside of her, the light of an enchantress and a girl in love. I hate to say I told you so, but I did tell her so. Magic transforms you. Magic changes you. Magic saves you. I want to still believe in all of those things. Rose cleans up my altar, sneezing when she breathes in layers of dust. She lights a candle for El Amor, Dio of love and fervor. Beside it, she lights a candle for La Mama, ruler of the sun and mother of all the Dios. Gross, Lula. When was the last time you cleaned your altar? Rose asked, wiping her fingers on the front of her jeans. I only shrug and lie back on the floor. She sits at my feet and holds my ankles. This isn't for magic. I think she's just trying to comfort me in the only way she knows how. Alex kneels right over my head. A year ago, Alex kept her power bottled up. Now she calls on it easily. She pulls the smoke from the candles, elongating it between her fingertips like a cat's cradle until it circles the three of us like a dome. Next, Alex rips the head off a long-stemmed white rose and sets the petals in a bowl. Our magic, our brujeria, isn't only about putting herbs together and chanting rhymes. Anyone could do that. This canto has no words, just a sweet hum my sister makes as she sifts through the rose petals. The rise of her magic fills the room, settles along my skin like silk. One by one, she places each petal on my face. She hums until she's covered every inch of pearlescent scar tissue, and I'm wearing a mask made of roses. She pushes her power into the rose mask, and slowly it takes on her magic. The petals heat up and soften, melting into my scars like second skin. I am never ready for the next part, but I grab the carpet and brace myself. Glamour magic requires pain. I hiss when it stings like hot needles jabbing into my flesh. Maybe we should stop, Rose tells Alex. I shake my head once. I'm okay, I swear. Alex keeps going, holding her hands over my face, waves of heat emanating from her palm. I breathe and grind my teeth through the discomfort. There, Alex says. The earthy sweetness of roses in bloom fills my bedroom. Nothing coats the senses quite like roses do. Alex and I lock eyes, and there's so much I want to say. Thank you. I'm sorry. Are you okay? Her face, right where my scars should be, darkens with red splotches. I recognize the recoil of glamour magic. Bruises and redness that match the person being worked on. All magic comes with a cost. The cyclical give and take of the universe to keep us balanced. She never complains though. She smiles, stands, busies herself with her phone. I go to my dresser and I pull out a round hand mirror that I got at a garage sale for $1. It's a dual metal, but makes me feel like the evil queen from Snow White. When I was little, I used to root for Snow, but lately I feel the queen was way misunderstood. Women with power always get a bad rep. My mood changes instantly when I look at myself in the mirror. I feel like I'm bound to this bit of magic that gives me back a part of myself, even if it's superficial. The scars are gone. The belleza canto is a stronger form of glamour. When I touch the area where the 4 claw marks are supposed to be, there is nothing there but flawless sun-kissed skin. Mirror, mirror, I whisper to my reflection, tilting my face from side to side. I grab my favorite pink lipstick and apply it. It's a coral shade that brings out the honey brown of my skin and make my gray eyes stormier. I fluff my mane of black curls and rub my lips together to make sure my lipstick is even. I wish I could make this feeling last. For now, I'm going to enjoy it until next time. Thank you, I tell Alex and press a sticky kiss on her cheek. Gross, she mutters, wiping it off. Then she picks up the decapitated rose stem and a bowl of unused petals. Let's go, Rosie. My phone chimes and my heart flutters when I see Mac's name on the screen. I'm outside. I analyze the message as I put on my socks. His text gets shorter and shorter every day. Part of it is my fault for being so distant. Ever since Los Lagos, shadows seem to leap around every corner and crowds make me feel as if I'm sinking, my head barely above water. Nothing puts a big fat hex on a social life like the fear of monsters only I can see. Today will be better, I tell my reflection, slipping into Mac's Letterman jacket before I run down the stairs. See you at the game, my mom shouts. I wave as I zoom out the door and into Mac's car parked out front. The minute I'm outside, I can breathe again. When I'm around Max, I don't have to think about magic, and I'm ready to sink into the comfort of his humanity. Hey, Max says, not looking up. He fiddles with the radio station, but they're all staticky. He ends up plugging in his phone. His personal coach doesn't believe in kissing or anything else exciting on game day. I don't want to believe that's why his voice is distant, and that's why he isn't reaching out. He isn't reaching for my hand. But seeing him fills me with a sense of need, the need to be my old self, the need to be happy. So I press my lips on his cheek and leave the pink imprint on my mouth. You're in a good mood, he says, thick black brows knitting in confusion. And I'm bothered that he sounds so surprised. His knee shakes a little, and I place my hand on it to try to comfort him. He always gets nervous before games, but he's the best goalie the school has seen in years. Nothing gets past him. Last game of the year, it's a big deal. I smile when he looks at me before putting the car in drive. Relief washes over me when he takes my hand in his and kisses my knuckles, then speeds down the empty Brooklyn street. We've beaten Van Buren like 600 times, but they're still a solid team. He squeezes my hand once, then lets it go. You okay, I ask? As a healer, I can sense the tension knotting in his aura. He's always nervous before a game, but today it's worse than usual. Maybe I am feeling the residual magic from Alex's canto. My magic has been way off. At the red light, he turns to me. His hair is combed back at the top and his edges are freshly buzzed. I brush my fingers at his nape where the barber didn't brush off all the stray hairs. Lula, he says my name like a sigh. He turns to me again. I can't tell what he's searching for, but when I look at him, really look at him, I remember why I fell for him. The sweet caring boy whose smile made me dizzy. I always keep a sprig of hydrogenas on my altar because they remind me of his eyes. We both start when someone honks behind us and he faces the road again. I was thinking, I say, trying to make my voice low and playful, but I end up feeling silly. We could do something after the game, just the two of us. I already told the team they could party at my house. My parents are on a business trip and my sister's already at the UK camp for the summer. I shouldn't be annoyed, but I am. I tell myself he's just tired. He's been practicing extra hard. He's going to Boston College on a soccer scholarship and wants to be at the top of his game. We haven't really been alone in a while, I say. That's not my fault. It's not my fault either. Look, I don't want to fight. Another red light. He shakes his head like he's dispersing the thought he just had. What? I'm just saying, he sighs and flicks on his turn signal. We haven't been alone because you never feel like being alone. You've been so off, and I don't know what to do anymore. I told you about my dad coming back, and the break-in. I watched the red light, the people at the crosswalk. We're a few blocks away from school. I recognize a couple of girls from my team by their black and red uniforms. A woman dressed in all black trails behind them. She holds a cane that glints in the sunlight, and with every step, her jewelry swings from side to side. She wears dozens of necklaces made of glittering gems and wooden beads. She glances at us in the car, and I swear I've seen her before. For a flash, the dark stare takes me to a place of my nightmares. My skin is hot, and when I close my eyes, I picture the shadows reaching for me with their claws. I grip the car seat so my hands will stop shaking. I know you have family stuff, Max says, thankfully unaware of my tiny freakout. I'm not sure how to say it. You're not the same person you were 2 years ago. 2 years. Max and I have been dating for 2 years. That's 2 years of dates, 2 years of I love you. I'm tongue twisted. 2 years of I love yous and I want you forevers. 2 years of going to sleep reading his messages, of hearing his voice just before I drifted off and dreaming about us together. Max wasn't the first boy to tell me I was beautiful, but when he said it, when he kissed the inside of my wrist and wrote it over and over again, "You're beautiful, I love you," I believed him. I rolled down the window, my scars burned, and I flipped down the sun visor and double-checked that Alex's canto is holding up. There I am. I look like the old me, even if I don't feel like her. Max pulls into the school parking lot behind the gym and puts the car in park. He taught me how to parallel park even though I don't have my license. It's a weird memory, but it pops into my head as he unbuckles his seatbelt and holds the steering wheel with a white knuckle grip. Max, my voice is small because I know what comes next. He breathes in long and deep as if to steady himself. I think we should break up. So if I pause for a second, I'm just kind of rereading in my head. I just want to make sure I'm getting the story while I'm reading the story too. But we're now in chapter 2. And I'm going to read the quote. El corazón falls in love over and over, trying to make his two hearts whole. And then we read. Please don't make a scene, Max says softly. The school band recognizes Max's car and cheer as they board the big yellow cheese buses. The parking lot is full of students, faculty, and parents dressed in Thornhill night colors. Let me just fix this volume a little bit. Levels. It sounds good. Okay. The parking lot is full of students, faculty, and parents dressed in Thornhill Nights colors, ready to caravan all the way to Queens Village. My body flushes hot at the thought of getting out of the car to join them. I take a deep breath, anger burning a clear path to my lips. You think we should break up? Baby, don't. Why are you calling her baby? We just broke up with her. Let's see. He stops whatever he's going to say next, catching himself on the familiarity, and it's like a fist to my gut. Don't call me baby. Lula, I've tried. He squeezes the steering wheel. I've tried so hard, but it's been months. I know the robbery was hard on you. You have no idea how much I wish I'd been there to protect you. And your answer is this? I look out my window at my faint reflection. Moments ago, I was so sure today was the day everything would be better. You can't stand the idea of spending one more second with me, that you're doing this now? He turns to me, daring to look hurt. That's not true. You should know me better than that. I wanted to wait until after graduation, but my sister said it wasn't fair to you. 1 minute you're fine, and then the next you're not. I'm trying, Max. What about last weekend? Remember Pierre's party? You just walked out to the middle of the street and stood there, staring into space. If I hadn't come outside, you would have gotten clipped by that car. I do remember. There were too many people in the house and it was too dark. So I walked outside and stared at the light of the moon. It was the only moment of peace I'd found in so long that I didn't notice the car until Max screamed my name and pushed me out of the way. He was white with fear, holding my face in his hands until he was sure I wasn't hurt. He drove me home right away. You have to talk to someone, he told me. I said, I'm fine, I promise. I'm sorry, he says. I really am. You're not the same person I fell in love with. You don't want to be around your own friends. You haven't applied to college. It's like your fire is gone. The unfairness of his words sting worse than this morning's canto. If he knew the truth, he'd surely understand. But how do you tell your sinmango boyfriend that the robbery all over the New York news was actually an attack by a power-hungry demon witch? I flip between wanting to slash his tires and begging him to stay with me. I'll try harder, I want to say, but I can't, so I just watch as the team loads their gear on the bus. Max, I plead. Doesn't he understand that he's been the only constant thing in my life? Don't do this. He finally turns to me, his gaze travels across my face, and I wonder if he's trying to remember why he fell in love with me in the first place. I never wanted to hurt you, but I have to do the right thing. The right thing? I echo his words. For yourself, you mean. You can't put up with me, so you're bailing. Just say it how it is. Don't pretend you're making a sacrifice. You're twisting my words. I thought a lot about this. I don't know how to help you, and I don't think I'm good for you. So I have to make a choice, even if it hurts us both. If it hurts that much, then don't do it. I hate the weakness in my voice. We can forget about this. Just pretend it never happened. I care about you, Lula, he turns to me. And in this moment, he turns to me, and in this moment, I have never loved and hated someone so much all at once. But I can't give you what you need. Deep inside, you know that. A dozen hands smack the windows of the car. I jump in my seat, and Max curses loudly when he sees his teammates using his car like a set of congas. Let's go, Herbachevsky. They shout, all wound up, energy and excitement. We've got a game to win, son. I need a minute, I say, pulling down the visor. Lula. But when he looks at me, he falls silent. He hands me the key fob and gets out. And that's when I flip back to wanting to smash his car. I watch him lift his duffel bag onto his shoulder. He glances back at me twice before he makes it to the bus, where his boys greet him with fist bumps and cheers that he doesn't return. He looks down at his feet, his lips tugging up into a crooked smile. I've always loved that smile. I reach for my phone, my hands longing for something to crush. But the spike of anger dissolves into sadness, and I reach out to the first person that comes to mind. I text Alex. Max broke up with me. Just then, my chest tightens, and despite the warm early summer breeze, I shiver. My breath comes out in a tiny cloud. My arms are covered in goosebumps beneath my jacket. Max jacket. Out of habit, I check the parking lot for shadows that shouldn't be there. But there is only the school mascot, a knight waving a plastic sword, running back and forth in front of the bus. My intuition must be messed up. Maybe my body is just physically rejecting this breakup. The book is really good. Thank you. So just looking at my chat real quick. I just started it. We're on page 18. I think it started on page 3. So we're like 15 pages in. But I'm liking it so far. Welcome to the stream. Let me get to my place. Max broke up with me. Maybe my body is just physically rejecting this breakup. Max's words play in my head on a loop. I've tried. I don't know how to help you. It's like your fire is gone. I think about my mother and how long it took her to piece herself together after my father disappeared. I used to watch her get ready for the day, painting her eyes and lips in vibrant colors to hide her gray sorrow. She'd stare into her mirror and say, "Don't let them see you cry." Now I repeat her words to my reflection. I press my finger against a tight frown on my forehead. I pull a satin red ribbon from my bag, the last piece of her cheer uniform. I wrap it around the top of my head and tie the ends into a bow. I fluff out my curls and try not to think about how Max used to like coiling strands around the length of his fingers. I uncap my shimmering coral gloss and slowly drag it across my bottom lip, imagining I'm using it to smooth the edges of my heart. This morning I said things would be different. Maybe I can still channel the girl I was before my family's world turned upside down, before I had to hide behind a mask of borrowed magic and rose petals. My phone buzzes with a message from Alex. Come home, we haven't left yet. Excuse me. I'm sorry, you deserve better. I'll go get the pizza and sea salt caramel. Part of me wants to listen to Alex. A long shower and an evening of eating my weight in cheese and ice cream sounds amazing. But the old Lula wouldn't shrink away and hide. I text Alex back, I'm fine. Max might be right about some things. I have changed, but my fire isn't gone. Not completely. I can still fix this. I can make him see that we need each other. I search deep inside for some of the fire Max says I've lost, and try to remember that even if I feel broken, I am still made of magic. I get out of the car, lock it, and pocket the key fob. The 2 buses are lined up and ready to go. Those staying behind wave goodbye, whistling between fingertips and shouting calls of good luck. Lula, come on, my friend Cassandra waves from an open bus door. Her black skin shimmers with the dusted glitter she likes to wear to the games. I sling my bag over my shoulder and run towards a bus. The door sighs closed behind me, and Manny, the bus driver, nods in my direction as I make my way up the aisle. The air is thick with excitement and a mix of perfumes and perspiration from 24 bodies that makes my nose itch. Because I'm the last one on the bus, all the seats are taken except for one. I stand still for too long, and people look at me. Cassandra gives me an everything okay face. Number 12, Ramirez, looks me up and down and then smiles as if he hadn't been checking me out. Number 23, Samori, waves from his designated seat in the back as unofficial DJ. A couple of girls from my step team whisper behind freshly manicured hands, their eyes sliding between Max and me. Do they already know? How am I supposed to sit next to him for an hour? Heat burns my cheeks, works down my neck. I think I need some water. A little stuttery. Heat burns my cheeks, works down my neck and across my chest. I have the urgent need to turn back, to steal Max's car and drive it back home. But Manny closes the doors and starts the engine. Lula, Max says, gesturing to the empty spot beside him. It's the last game. This is still your seat. I take a steadying breath and take the seat next to Max, the same one I've had for nearly 2 years. His name is Max. It's not Max. It's M-A-K-S. So I don't know if I'm saying it right, but we'll just keep on going with Max. I take a steadying breath and take the seat next to Max, the same one I've had for nearly 2 years. The captain of our squad, side by side, have the seats always been this cramped, or am I now noticing because I'm doing everything possible to keep my body from touching his? I take out the jacket I'm wearing and quietly place it on his lap. From the corner of my eye, I can see him clutch it and turn to me. I was going to let you keep it, he says softly, maybe even hurt. I turn my knees away from him so they're in the aisle. It's hard to look at him and know he doesn't want me. A cry forms in my throat, but I push it back and say, You wanted this. I'm giving you what you want. My phone buzzes again, cutting off whatever Max is about to tell me. Alex, on our way, I feel his bad vibes from here. Alex, there's still time to come home. Me. No, I have to get through today. I wait for her to answer, but Coach starts his pregame speech. All right, boys and girls, he says in his thick Brooklyn accent. It's easy to tell you that this game's in the bag. We're undefeated, but so are they. But we still got something they don't. The best damn team I've seen in years, and I'm freaking old as dirt. Everyone laughs except the two of us. Max leans forward, and his arm brushes against mine. Warm and familiar and unbearable. It's been a pleasure being your coach, he says. I want you to know how proud I am, no matter what happens. You're not going to cry on us, are you, Coach? Samori asks playfully. Shut it, Sam, Coach barks. All right, Manny, let's get this show on the road. There's a volley of hoots and whistles. No one stays in their seats like they're supposed to. A couple of the guys brought confetti poppers for the end of the game, but are starting to set them off as Manny turns onto the highway and Samori holds his handheld speaker up so music fills the entire bus. This book is called Bruja Born. I don't know if it's flipped on the monitor, but it's called Bruja Born. So Bruja means witch born, basically. It's still in the beginning, so yeah, sorry, yeah, it's reverse, but it means witch born, Bruja Born. And we're still like in the intro, so nothing interesting is happening yet, but the main characters, I would say, are breaking up, so we're just getting into it. We'll see what happens. And let me just make sure. Holds his handheld speaker up so music fills the entire bus. Asses and seats, Coach warns, staring at his phone. He's so clueless when he's going over plays. He wouldn't even notice if the whole soccer team started stripping down to their underwear. The chill from earlier returns to my skin as I reach across Max to shut the window. As I sit back down, Max holds the jacket out to me. You're cold, he whispers, leaning into my ear because it's so loud around us. Just wear it. Don't get sick just because of me. I shake my head. I remember the first time he gave me his jacket. We were in the middle of the hallway, and he held it out for me. It was too big, but smelled like fresh grass and his earthy soap, and definitely like boy. Definitely like boy. Lula Ramirez turns around in his seat, his big brown eyes only looking at me. You dropped this. He holds a red ribbon with fingers held against his palm. I touch my hair and realize mine must have slipped off. Thank you, I say, and will myself to return his smile. You guys going to the prom after party in the city? Ramirez asks. My heart squeezes painfully. I play with the red ribbon in my hands. Thinking about prom makes the last pieces of my old Lula facade deflate. I spent weeks combing through thrift stores for the perfect blue dress. I picked it because the wildflower blue color matched Mac's eyes. My tongue is so dry, I fear my next words will turn into sand. I should have listened to Alex and gone home. My phone rings half a dozen times, but I just let it buzz in my purse. Yeah, man, Max says over-enthusiastically. See you there. I watch Max. Max watches me. Please stop staring at me, I whisper. He leans back and lets go of a long sigh. I can't read his furrowed stare or the way he runs his fingers through his wave. Sorry, I was like reading the chat at the same time. Yeah, spooky books. Spooky books are like the type of books I like to read. It's kind of like the only books I read. Some kind of fictional, witchy. Pretty much like 90% of the books I read. Some kind of paranormal or something, or vampires, stuff like that. And reading the book. I watch Max. Max watches me. Please stop staring at me, I whisper. He leans back and lets go of a long sigh. He leans back and lets go of a long sigh. I can't read his furrowed stare or the way he runs his fingers through his hair to give his nervous hands something to do. Is that regret? He reaches for my hand, then hesitates and pulls back when he realizes what he's doing. I'm sorry. I don't like the way he looks at you. My pulse quickens at his words. What is he saying? Around us, the other boys are dancing in their seats like we're in the middle of a parade. My team stomps their feet, clapping their hands to the chant. Let's go, Thornhill. The team chants get stronger. The excitement in the air is thick with a desire to win. And I can't help but think it's familiar. Like being at a death day ceremony. Except instead of summoning spirits, we're summoning luck and courage and victory. Maybe that's the key. My power might not be physical like Alex's. I might not be able to talk to the dead like Rose, but I can heal. I've healed bones and bruises and cuts, so why not us? Maybe I can summon love, fix the rift I've created between me and Max. I know him. I know he didn't mean it, that a part of him still loves me. The pressure of our lives got to us, in between us. Now I know how to make it better. I wind my ribbon around my wrist, red as love, red as blood, red as want. Let my magic bubble to the surface of my skin. I gasp when my power surges through me, like the slap of cold water, and I shudder from head to toe. Healing magic should be warm, but I can't reel it back now. I breathe faster and faster. Think of every kiss and touch and secret we've shared. Lula, Max inches closer, our thighs pressed side by side, and throws his jacket around my shoulders. It's working. It has to be, because when I look up, Max's eyes are trained on me. I don't dare look away from his face. There's a nick on his chin I didn't notice before. He must have cut himself shaving. But when I push my magic into his skin, the red cut disappears. His lips part, and we're so close I can feel his intake of breath, the race of his heartbeat. When he closes his hand around mine, I shut my eyes and memorize the feel of us, skin on skin. When I kiss Max, the world falls out of focus. Everything around us pixelated except for him. The bus speeds down the highway, dozens of horns blaring, and we slide against the window. I rest a hand on his jawline, freshly shaven and smooth. I push away all other thoughts and focus on us. Whatever broke between us, I I can fix. The kiss feels like 1,000 years, but it's been seconds. I pull back to catch my breath, and he leans forward, like he can't be apart from me. He kisses my cheek, my forehead, the tip of my nose. I said sit! Coach shouts at a group of guys dancing in the aisles. Max starts to wrap his arm around my waist, but every part of me turns cold. Max looks down at me, worry riddling his features. Our breath comes out in icy clouds. There's a crackle of static as the music cuts out. I stand to look around at what's going on. Then the bus swerves and my feet are no longer on the ground. I don't have time to scream as I struggle to find something to hold on to. Max's hands grip me hard and pull me back. Are you? The screech of tires is followed by the warped crush of metal. Then, down is up. Windows shatter. Something hard breaks inside me. At first, a dull, pulsing ache. The pain shoots from my belly button right to my heart. And I scream and scream as the bus spins in a flurry of broken glass and bodies. I shut my eyes and warm liquid splatters across my face. When I open them, blood blurs my vision. I hear my name, distant as a memory, called out until there is nothing but piercing static. There's a final slam. My body's so numb I can't move, can't stay awake, but I know I'm alive because of my thundering heart. Max and I lie face to face on our sides. I can't feel a thing but see his hand resting on my arm, giving me a tiny shake. Stay awake, he tells me, choking on the blood that bubbles from his mouth. Max! Pain slams into me all at once, concentrating on my abdomen, where a metal pulse stabs straight through my torso and into his chest. Whoa, that's about an injury. Chapter 3. And I'll read the quote. It has like quotes at the beginning of each chapter. La mamá was lonely up in the sky. So that means the mom. La mamá means the mom. The mom was lonely up in the sky, chasing after el papá, the dad, night into day. Her light so great it left him in the shadow. Now we're starting at chapter 3. Look at me, Max tells me, his mouth full of blood. Lula. Max's ragged voice falls away amid the screams for help and the crackle of fire nearby. I try to reach for him, but a sharp pain stabs at my rotator cuff. Every part of me fights to hurt more than the rest, so I stay as still as possible. There is one thing I can do. I search for my power burrowed within me protectively and picture my sister's face, Alex. I shout her name in the dark corners of my mind and hope that wherever she is, she can sense me. She has to know I'm alive. She has to know I'm still here. I move my arm again, screaming through the ache that follows. If I can't heal myself, then I can at least heal Max. But my arm won't go any further, and the edge of my vision darkened with shadow. My throat burns liquid choking my windpipe, the taste of 1,000 coins in my mouth. Look at me, Max repeats. When I do, it isn't his face I see. It's my own. Voices, familiar and strange, angry and hopeful, near and far. We can't save them both. I've never seen anything like this before. How are they both still alive? He won't be for much longer. If we remove the boy, she might have a chance. Get them on the gurney. Clear it out. God damn it, I'm losing her. What's the count? 45 dead. 46 now. Get me a crash cart. Come on, Lula. Lula, baby, it's Mom. We're all here. Can you hear me? It's Alex. I felt you. I felt you right here. I'm here with you too. You have to live. You hear me? You have to fight. I swear to God, I will summon your spirit and kill you myself. Miss, please, you need to leave. Nurse, get them out of here. I can't. Let go of me. She's my baby girl. Maxime, where is he? Where is my son? Get them all out of here. Stay alive. Scalpel. It's not time yet, Nana. I'm watching over you. I'll always watch over you girls. You have a great destiny, all 3 of you. She's tachycardic. Lula Mortis, the Dios bless you. The Dios will always bless you. Do not betray us. She's crashing. Baby, it's cold here. Pressure's rising. She's back. Stay with us, Lula. You're stronger than this. Would you like to do the honors and close? Her eyelids are fluttering. She shouldn't be awake yet. Pushing 1 milligram of midazolam. Midazolam. It's like a medicine. Lula Mortis, do not betray the Dios. Yes. Now we're on chapter 4. Okay. And the quote says, Sana sana, the body endures. 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 And we start chapter 4. When I dream, I relive every moment of the crash. Max is throwing himself around me like a shield as shattered glass rains down around us. The bus keeps spinning until there is silence. But when I stand over my own body lying on the bus ceiling, I know this is more than a dream. 24 broken bodies lie in heaps inside the overturned bus. Some are still alive and crying out. Others lie still. I recognize Cassandra. Eyes shut, but her fingers twitch with life. I move to hold her, heal her, but I'm an apparition, and I pass right through her. I spin around at the sound of Max's voice. Max tries to lift his hand to touch mine, but he's broken. He tells my body to look at him, begs me to open my eyes. He's still holding me, even after everything that happened. I move on, walking through the bus and onto the scene outside. 12 cars are rammed into each other. The second bus is turned on its side, and a lucky few are being removed from the wreck by civilians and paramedics. Red, blue, and white lights swirl all across the highway as more emergency vehicles try to make their way through. Cars try to move out of their way as best as they can, driving into ditches off the sides of the road. People leave their stalled cars and rush out to help, taking off clothes to staunch open wounds and wrap around bone shedding through skin. That's when I noticed her. She was always there, I suppose, lingering in the edges of the dark, an omen at the crossroads. She was always there, I suppose. Oh, read the same sentence. She stands at the center of the highway, dressed all in black. Her face is pale as the moon, and her eyes are black as the longest night. She's completely bald, wearing a crown of twisted golden thorns that dig into her skull but don't draw blood. Her dress blows in the breeze, and she walks with a spear, the sharp end of it a metallic spike that sparks when she slams it on the ground. She walks right through the bus, and I follow after her. You, I say as she approaches Max's and me. Her inhuman black eyes lock on me. You know my face. The woman at the crossroads, she looks different now, but I know her the way I know the comfort of a sunrise and the power in my blood that allows me to heal. Lady de la Muerte, goddess of death and the mortal earth's dawn. She moves in slow, careful steps, like she's on delay. She motions outward with her arm. The sleeves of her dress fall back to her elbows, exposing translucent white skin. Names appear up and down her arms. His name makes my breath catch in my throat. Maxim Horbachevsky. The names keep scrolling, and there are many I recognize. Ramirez James, Samori Jones, Cassandra Chasson, Noveno. They scroll too fast for my eyes to keep track of them all. Why did you do this? I demand. I do nothing, she says. I collect. You can't take him. That is not for you to decide. That is for the Dios to decide. You ask too much. You have always asked for too much. Watch yourself, Lula Mortis. The Dios have also blessed you. Do not betray us. Lady de la Muerte, that means Lady of the Dead, takes her eyes off me and turns to a boy's face, down on top of 2 other bodies. The number 12 is on his Letterman jacket. Do not betray us, she repeats as she lifts her spear straight in the air and slams it into the boy's back. A great light crackles and winds around the spear, absorbing into the metal. She's collected his soul. She's awake, Rose says. Her eyes are puffy and her round eyes are flush. She's sitting at my bedside, carefully avoiding all the wires I'm hooked up to. Behind her, my dad and Alex snap awake from their sleep. Don't try to sit up, Alex tells me. There's a limp in her step, and violet bruises dot her neck. They've been healing me. I heard you, I say. I felt you when it happened, I mean. Alex presses her head on mine and looks over her shoulder nervously. Max, I say, is he okay? Baby, my mom says, rushing through the open hospital room door. Her skin is covered in angry cuts and fresh bruises. Dad, too. I try to think of the healing cantos they'd have to go through to fix everything wrong with me. How are you feeling? Alive, thanks to you, I manage. My tongue is thick and my head throbs at the back of my skull. We've been healing you slowly since you got out of surgery, Ma says, gently brushing my arm. We still have the smaller cuts, but the police want a statement. Let her rest a while longer, Dad says softly. I shut my eyes, tears flooding at the corners. What hurts? Rose asks, looking over my body to see how she can make me comfortable. I can push the morphine button. I shake my head. I don't want to keep replaying the accident. I don't want to see Lady de la Muerte's ghoulish face. What about Max? I ask again. I didn't see Lady de la Muerte take him, but I saw his name on her arm, and I remembered the voices around me when I was being brought in. He won't live for much longer. He's in a coma, Dad tells me. He looks older than ever. His gray eyes are heavy with sorrow, and the wrinkles on his forehead are like cracks in the sidewalk. But he's alive, I say, my voice breaking. Can we heal him? There's a knock at the door, followed by a man in brown leather jacket. I feel like this book is like where I'm like stuttering or whatever. Like the sentences aren't like, it needs a spell check. Like the sentences aren't written correctly. Door at the door, followed by a man in brown leather jacket. By a man in a brown leather jacket. So see, like, I don't know. So it's kind of like making me like, I don't know. It's not really written correctly. They do have some really good sentences, but some sentences are written like that, and I'm like, written really funny. Anyways, I digress. Let's continue with the book. His cigarette-stained teeth and suspicious eyes mark him as a detective. My sister just woke up, Alex says, with the spine-crushing black boots she's wearing. She's almost as tall as a detective. She needs more time to rest. The detective gives my sister a side-eye look, and it's that gesture which jogs my memory. He's the same I'm going to take a break in a couple minutes so I can drink some water. And then we'll go on for another few chapters. He's the same detective that ran the investigation on our home robbery. When we returned nearly dead from Los Lagos, no time had passed on this realm. Windows were shattered, feathers burned into the walls, floorboards ripped right out. Yeah, a robbery. There was no other explanation that wouldn't reveal us or our magical community. But the cops bought it, and the case was closed. Now, Detective Hill is back, and his muddy brown eyes settled on each and every one of us. We're old friends now, aren't we? Detective Hill asked, trying for charming but ending at patronizing. He looks my dad up and down, then my mother and sisters. You're all pretty banged up there. We were in one of the accidents on the BQE, Alex lies. It's a mess out there, Detective Hill says, running his hands over his thick salt and pepper hair. As he turns to me, that's where you come in, Miss Mortiz. Yes, detective, I say, sounding like I swallowed the cheese grater. But the sooner he leaves, the sooner I can check on Max. First of all, I'm glad you're feeling better. It's been a hectic couple of days. Days? I try to sit up, but a shooting pain keeps me pinned to the bed. How long have I been asleep? 4 days. 4 days? I don't mean to upset you, Miss Mortiz, Detective Hill says, but there were a number of casualties, and we'd like to get to the bottom of what happened. You're the only survivor who's awake. The only one? Detective Hill nods gravely. Do you remember anything? How many? I'm not sure what to ask. How many dead? alive, but Detective Hill understands what I want to know. 5 players and 3 cheerleaders are in comas. Others are out of surgery, but it doesn't look good. The victims of the pileup behind the bus are still unconscious, and the ones who walked away with broken bones say they didn't see anything. No one has been able to give any statements, and you're the only soul who can string a sentence together. So you can see my frustration. This accident added 50 bodies to the morgue, and I've got no answers as to how this happened. 50, I repeat. Then I remember my vision. Cassandra. He flips open a notepad. Cassandra Toussaint. She goes back into surgery to remove debris from her stomach. Really rare blood type and not enough to go around. The machines measuring my heart rate go off like a carnival ride. Calm down, Nina. My mom pushes past the detective to get to my side. I open my mouth, but it's like I'm breathing through a straw and the rest of me is buried under cement. My mother's hand is warm, resting behind my neck. At first I think she's going to use her magic, but then she simply brushes my hair away from my face, blowing cool breath against my eyelids. Something about her presence calms me in ways I can't explain. I'm not better, not by a long shot, but at least I can breathe again. You all right? Detective Hill asks. I don't care who you are, Alex says suddenly, but I'm going to call a doctor to kick you out if you don't have any more actual questions. Don't threaten me, Miss Mortiz. I thought I'd seen the last of your family 5 months ago, but here we are again. It seems like bad luck follows you. His tongue pushes against his cheek, like he's digging for food particles stuck in his teeth. Then he mutters, Curious, isn't it? I don't remember much, I say. I was sitting with Max. Everyone was listening to the music and dancing, like usual. They were excited for the game. Does the driver always let you stand up and party? What? No, that's not what I meant. But you said, like usual. Yes, but my head aches at the temples. You're twisting her words, Alex snaps. Stay out of this, Miss Mortiz, he shouts. My vision blurs with tears and I breathe fast because my heart is racing. Dad tries to step in, but Ma puts an arm on his shoulder. Because we know it would be worse if he gets involved. Will you let me talk? I shout at Alex and Detective Hill. Yes, everyone was excited. It was a final game, and most of the team are seniors. Coach kept telling everyone to sit, but they didn't listen. The next thing I knew, the bus swerved and everything turned upside down. I shut my eyes, but I can't stop the images from flooding my mind. Blood and flesh and glass and bones, and a woman dressed up in black. When I came to, Max was trying to keep me conscious. Then I woke up here. Thank you, Miss Mortiz. You've been the most helpful. I hope you have a speedy recovery. Detective Hill looks at Alex. See? That wasn't so bad, wasn't it? I nod and we wait in silence as he slowly makes his way out of the door. One last thing, Detective Hill turns around. The scars on your face. They're older than the accident. How did that happen? We used to have a dog, I say, touching the claw marks raised with scar tissue. Rabies. We're locked in a staring match. I'm afraid that if I looked away first, I'll be admitting to the lie. Who we are is cloaked in so much secrecy that when it comes time for Seen Mongols to believe us, I think Seen Mongols means like humans, like not witches or plain folk. We're too suspect. That's why our kind doesn't go to hospitals. We don't seek the police. We get justice ourselves, save our own, protect our magic. I win our staring match, and it's a small victory. He looks away, eyes heavy with dark circles and distress. He starts to leave, shaking his head, and he says, Shame. Such a pretty face. Okay, so I'm just going to go on a break real quick to drink some water and some things so we can come back and read some more. I'm just going to put it on my coming back, and I will be back in just a few minutes. Hello, I'm back. So I'm just going to give a quick synopsis of what we've been reading so far. So Lula has been in a bus accident. They're on their way to a game, and she finds out pretty much she's like the only survivor or the only person awake out of everyone on our team. There's about like 46 people that have died, including her boyfriend. And she's really sad about that. And we're on chapter 5, and I'm going to read the quote. La mamá cried and cried, waiting for el papá, alone but with no one but el cielo, who loved her, who greeted her with arms wide open. And we shall start. My grandmother always said, hello, sorry. Couldn't read me, couldn't hear me. So I was just giving a synopsis of the book and what has happened so far. So Lula has been in a car accident, and she's the only survivor. And her boyfriend has died, and she's in the hospital, and a detective is questioning her, and she's still kind of not understanding what happened, and we shall start. So let me read the quote at the top, and we'll start with chapter 5. So it says, La mamá cried and cried, waiting for el papá alone, but with no one but el cielo, who loved her, who greeted her with arms wide open. Starting chapter 5. My grandmother always said that our magic was about belief. It's also about intent. The first time I tried to heal, I had no idea what I was doing. I was 6, and a bird had fallen out of a nest in our backyard. The power slumbering in my body woke, pure and innocent. I just know that I wanted the bird to be okay. I reached out with my power, unsure of the primordial magic that cycled between us, until the sparrow stretched its wings against my palms and took off into the sky. Excuse me. I was always glad to be a healer like my mom. Rose has the gift of the veil. Alex is an enchantress, blessed with all the gifts of the Dios. Dad once had the power to conjure storms. Our power is what we make it, but we all have our limits. At least that's what I thought. Now, as my family refuses to heal Max, I start to wonder if perhaps we set the limits ourselves. I can barely stand, but one way or another, I'm going to get to Max. I use the rail attached to my bed for balance. Absolutely not. My mother blocks my door. Her black curls are wrapped in a colorful scarf, and her dress is a bright blue, the color of La Mama and eternal hope. My mother holds a white quartz prex in one hand, and the prayer beads rattle when she gesticulates and shouts, You're not strong enough to heal the broken wing on a cockroach, let alone the kind of injuries that Max sustained. Max is not a cockroach, I yell. Fine, butterfly, take your pick. My point stands. I can see in her eyes that she's wavering between thanking the Dios I'm alive and wanting to throttle me herself. His body is too weak for even the doctors to try and save his life. And they've tried, Lula. We can do it together, I say, foolishly hopeful. You didn't have enough fun almost dying? Alex asks. She leans against the wall in front of me, and Dad stays close to the foot of my bed, boxing me in. You ready to try harder? But you all healed me, I point out. Your family, Alex says plainly. Max broke up with you. So if he hadn't, you'd try? I rake my fingers through my hair, my scalp throbbing painfully. You literally gave up your power to save Rishi from dying in Los Lagos. Do you remember that? You did it even though it could have cost you your entire family. Max was there for me when I couldn't talk to any of you, but I'm not surprised you don't get it, Alex. Everything bad that's ever happened to me has been because of you. Woo! She's mad. Alex presses her hand to her stomach and gasps like I've struck her. Don't you talk to your sister like that, Dad says. You haven't been part of this family for 7 years, I tell him, regret twisting in my heart the moment the words leave my lips, but I can't seem to stop. You don't get to tell me how to talk to my sister. Lula! Alex's brown eyes follow a path to where Rose sits by the window, playing with the arms of the stuffed animal on her lap. She bought it in the gift shop downstairs, a bright "Get well soon" stitched into a silk heart. Looking at her sitting there, caught in the middle of this fight, my fight makes tears sting my eyes. I'm sorry, I say. The ache in my legs win, and I get back into bed. Max is in a coma, Mom says, trying her best to remain calm. The kind of canto we'd have to perform would be dangerous to more than our family. We might as well turn ourselves over to the Thornhill Alliance or walk up to a pack of hunters. Your mother's right, Dad tells me, his eyes mirror to mine. The hunters are out there and have little love for our kind. I wish I could take away your pain, but I can't. When I was little, Dad used to tell us stories about being young and outwitting hunters. He said they fought with silver swords, and sprung from the shadows. To me, they were just stories. I would face the Alliance and the hunters if it meant making Max better. But we would be saving a life, I say. I've read the book of cantos dozens of times, and I know has to be something in there that can help without upsetting the balance of things. We have lost too, Mom says, pacing the length of my bed and rubbing the quartz beads in her hands. So hard I fear she'll have nothing but pebbles soon. This far gone, I don't know who you'd get back, but it might not be Max. Bruja has to break the order of things, always pay a price, my father says. I won't listen to this. Then I call a meeting of the High Circle of Brooklyn. No, Mom says, a deep ache in her voice. I can already tell you they're not going to help. How do you know? Because we asked them to heal you, Rose says. They wouldn't. That's why the recoil is so bad for us. We channeled our power through Alex, and then to Ma, because she's the healer. Even with Alex's magic, you're not 100%. But the High Circle is family, I say. Maybe not all of them, but our Aunt Lady is the Alta Bruja. Valeria is Rose's godmother. The rest grew up with my parents, fought alongside them in their youth. They're afraid, Alex says. There's too much heat between the regular cops and the Thornhill Alliance sniffing around. Why would they be sniffing around? I ask. Brujas aren't part of the Alliance. Alex shakes her head. One of the boys who died was related to one of their members. They want to make sure there was no foul play. I want to see the High Circle, I say, my thoughts racing to form a plan. I want them to look into my eyes and tell me there is nothing we can do. I'm afraid my mother is going to yell at me again. I'm afraid Dad is going to walk out that door and never come back. I'm afraid I won't be able to get through the rest of the day. Instead, my mom places her hand on my face, tracing her thumb along the scars on my cheek. If that's what you need to hear, then I'll make the call. After our parents leave to get coffee, my sisters stay. Rose is wheeling herself around in the chair and Nurse brought in case I wanted fresh air. Alex flips through a stack of newspapers, searching for signs of anything strange in even the smallest headlines. She hasn't spoken a word since our parents left, and I feel a tinge of guilt after the mean things I said to her. I clear my throat and look toward the door to make sure the coast is clear. I have a plan. She squints in my direction. I don't like that face. I don't like your face either, but I still have to look at it, I say. She rolls her eyes, and I'm relieved we can still tease each other like always. Rose perks up and quirks an eyebrow. What kind of plan? It doesn't matter what kind of plan, Alex says. Once you get shut down by the circle, they're going to be watching you. No, they won't, I say, but I need your help. You too, Rosie. Me? Rose gets up from the chair and comes closer. Alex shakes her head. We leave Rose out of this. No way, Rose says, and it's disconcerting to recognize Mortice's stubbornness in her future. Don't forget my powers. It's been awake since I was born. Any kind of spirit magic needs me there. Fine, Alex groans. Let's hear this plan. I remember a canto, I say. It's in the book. It's old. way old. Mom, Mom old or great-grandpa, her great-great-grandpa phenomenal old, Rose asks. Older, I say, and her eyes light up with curiosity. It's a blood-healing canto. The ingredients are easy to get. The most important part is blood, Alex says sarcastically. Aside from that, herbs and mirrors blessed by Alta Bruja. Lady blesses all her jewelry, Rose says, smirking despite Alex's disapproving glares. Alex paces back and forth. Tiny sparks shower over her head like it's 4th of July just for us. Her magic still has a wildness to it. Wild magic can't be tamed. I'm surprised she kept it together when Detective Hill was there. I know what to tell you not to do this, she wrings her hands. You know I'm not, but maybe I should be. Don't make the same mistake I made. Mistake? I asked her. The mistake was hiding your secret. The mistake was trying to get rid of your magic and nearly getting us all killed. I know what my mistake was, she says, stopping suddenly. That's why I don't want you to repeat it. But if you hadn't done all that, you wouldn't have Rishi. You wouldn't have met Nova, and we wouldn't have Dad back. Don't, she holds her hands up, as if that'll deflect my words. There's a crack in her voice. Don't throw that in my face. Rishi and I would have found each other eventually. What I did was selfish. I hurt you. You were trapped in that awful place, and I wish I could take that pain back. Why do I glamour you every morning to hide your scars? Why do you think I do your chores, Lula? Do you think I like being your personal maid? No. But I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything I did to hurt you. Every single day you've been distant and sad, and I know it's my fault. That's why I take care of you. You're right, I say, solidifying the plans in my mind. I know I'm doing the right thing. You did hurt me. You owe me, Alex. You owe me. All I want is to try and heal him. That's it. He's still in there somewhere. What good is our power if we can't help the people we love? I can see the war playing out in my sister's mind, but I know she'll give in to me. She always has because she loves me. Once, she says, holding up a single finger. We're trying this once. If Mom and High Circle figure out what we're doing, it's over. If it doesn't work, you have to let him go. I will, I say, kissing her hand. Knowing a part of me is lying when I say, I promise. Ooh, it's getting good. Chapter 6. You know, like when you're like watching a movie, you're like, can't wait till the good part starts. And we're getting there. We didn't have to wait too long. I'm going to read the quote at the top. The Dios too learned their limits. El fuego extinguished into ash. La ola crumbled into salt. El teros clove the earth in pieces. El viento fell and kept on falling. But from their limits, Lady de la Muerte was born. The creation of the Dios. Antonera Mortis de la Paz. And we start chapter 6. To a sin mago, a human, the High Circle of Brooklyn looks like a nice group of middle-aged friends and family who bring me gifts. But for brujas, witches, it's bad luck to visit the sickly empty-handed. Valeria brings me her famous apple pie. The spice and buttery smell of it reminds me I still have an appetite. Gustavo brings me a new prex made of onyx beads, customary for when someone is ill. Lady and the other 3 women bring flowers and candles that my mother arranges into a makeshift altar in the corner. We pray to La Estrella to guide you back with her light. Maria tells me, her hands cold and clammy around my cheeks, her puckered smile bleeding burgundy lipstick at the edges. I'm better thanks to my family, I say, sitting up to get down to business. Her lips uncurl from a smile into a taut line. The High Circle exchanges awkward glances, but I don't care that I've made them uncomfortable because they would have let me die. My family isn't in the best standing anymore either. After what Alex did in my father's sudden reappearance, the High Circle has been very wary of us. Even Valeria, who is my mother's midwife for Rose and who survived the Trujillo reign in the Dominican Republic, thinks we're cursed. They fear the curse of the Mortis family might cling to them. We've even stopped going to our brujeria classes at Lady's shop. But despite Alex's canto gone wrong, I think they fear my father the most. I'm getting tongue twisted so much, but hopefully I'll get over that soon. few reading sessions. But despite Alex's canto gone wrong, I think they fear my father the most. When they walk past, they give him a wide berth. He's an inexplicable ghost in all our lives, and no one has yet to make sense of him. Dad and Alex, linked by their otherness, linger against the wall as a high circle sits around my bed. Thanks for answering my call, lady, I say. Lady Luna stands at the front of my bed. She always looks lost in time, better suited for a smoking lounge from the 20s than now. She wears her long, coarse black hair wrapped up in a scarlet scarf that matches her lips and brings out the mahogany of her brown skin. A necklace of a dozen tiny mirrors hangs from her neck, and her dark eyes travel the room, detached and somber. Hospitals scare all of us who have magic. The air is thick with lingering spirits, not all of them good. But her voice is calm as she says, "We've missed you at classes. It's been boring without you and Alex fighting all day." "Why did you call us here?" Gustavo asks anxiously. He's about the same age as my dad, with 2 sons, one who just had his death day. "We were not invited." With their eyes on me, my sisters have a chance to move on with their plan. Time to draw their attention as long as I can. "I know my parents asked you to heal me and that you declined." I keep my face stern and my head high, even if every moment of it takes all my strength. At least Valeria and Lady had the decency to look sorry. "And I want you to know that I'm not upset, even if some of us are family. But I want you to implore the High Circle to heal Max and save his life. I've never asked anything of you before, and I'm prepared to pay any price." Oh, sorry, yes. Bruja Born. Witch Born. Hello. And I'm prepared to pay any price. "Selfish," Gustavo mutters even before I get in my last word. "Watch your tongue," my father says. He doesn't move an inch, but Gustavo flinches back as if my dad struck him. "Stop!" Alex gets up, putting up a barrier between them with her magic. The shield lasts a few moments, ripping like the clearest water. It reminds them of her power, the power none of them have, not even an alta bruja like Lady. If anyone knows what it's like to confront the darkness, it's me. I defeated the Devourer. Or have you forgotten? "I was there, Alex. Of course I haven't," Lady says dryly. Alex places a hand on Lady's back and smiles apologetically. Then my sister looks at me and takes a deep, shaky breath. "That's why I can't let you do this." "Alex, if you ruin this, I swear on the Dios." "What's going on?" Ma asks, eyes starting between Alex and me. What are you telling us? Lady points in my direction. Her voice fills the room like a billowing smoke. "Ever since I stepped foot in this room, I can't get a read on you. Not that it's surprising, considering the energy surrounding your family." "I'm sorry, Lula," Alex says. I start to speak, but she holds her hand up, closes it. My throat burns and I wheeze, scratching at the sides of my neck. She's stolen my voice. A pulsing light is trapped under her fingers. "What are you doing?" Mom asks, trying to reach over Valeria to get Alex, but the High Circle stops her. "Let Alejandra speak," Valeria says, motioning her hand towards my sister. "Lula saw Lady de la Muerte. She spoke to her during the accident." I open my mouth, but nothing comes out. It's like there's sand in my throat, even though my air passages are clear. Some of the High Circle members trade serious glances. Others place trembling hands over their chests. Gustavo whispers a prayer to El Papa, the ruler of the moon and father to all the Dios. "Tell me what you have seen," Lady commands me. I slap my hand on my bed and point to my throat. "Oh, right," Alex says, opening her hand and releasing my voice. The sensation is like gargling salt. My throat is raw and grainy, and I swear I'll enjoy the recoil she gets from doing that to me. I cough a few times before saying, "Yes, Lady de la Muerte appeared to me." Their collective gasp might as well have sucked out the air from the room. Helena holds her hands together. "What does she look like?" "How can you be sure it was her?" Gustavo asks skeptically. "We have to let Lula speak," Valeria says, reverent tears in her eyes. "She's got to get to the veil." like Rose. Seers are close to death, but to see a Dio, that's almost as rare as an Enchantrix these days. Go on, Lula. Which is why what I'm doing makes me more nervous than I've ever been before. She's not the way we depict her, I tell them. She defies age. Her skin is almost see-through, with names written all over her arms, and everything around her feels cold. Right before the crash, the temperature dropped. She had a spear made of onyx with a metal tip. She used it to separate the souls from the dead bodies. Incredible. No bruja or brujo has ever seen Lady de la Muerte and lived. Gustavo says, his features twisting to scrutinize me, unless they're marked. Gustavo, calm down, Valeria says. He gets up from his chair as if the floor has turned into flames and he can't get out of here quickly enough. No, Gustavo says. Don't you see? She was marked by la muerte. We're not touching her sin malo. If I could banish your family from the tri-state area, it still wouldn't be enough to get your mal ojo from us. Mal ojo means like bad luck. Everyone is stunned into silence. The mal ojo, the evil eye, is the worst curse you can carry with you. Tell us how you really feel, Alex grumbles finally. She looks at me and says, we have enough problems without bringing you down the wrath of the gods. I'm sorry, Lula, but I'm not going to do that. Not again. Right, I say, venom on my tongue. It's all fine when you want to get rid of your magic, but when I need to save the boy I love, you have objections. Your sister is right, Valeria tells me. We can pray for him. We can light candles for him, but we cannot interfere when the Dios are involved. We can only ask for them to listen. They stopped listening a long time ago, I say. Watch your tongue, you cursed girl, Gustavo tells me. And you watch yours, my father counters. What's the point of this power, I shout. Why do we have powers if, when it matters, you want to sit back and let people die? No, baby, Lady clicks her tongue and wags a finger at me. You don't get to lecture us on how to use our power. We've earned our right to live peacefully, by our own terms. Max is unresponsive. He's practically... Lady. Mom stops her. Get out, I say. The machine's hooked up to me, beeping loudly. All of you. The sickly sweet smell of Valeria's pie is suddenly making me nauseous. I said, get out. My voice is hoarse and the scream scratches my still tender throat. The nurse comes in to kick everyone out. I turn my face aside so I don't have to look at any of them. I know most of this was a charade, so they wouldn't suspect any true plan. But we all meant what we said. Some words you just can't take back. There, Nurse Yana adds another pillow under my head and pulls a cover over me. Her hair is disheveled, and her eyes tired and poofy. But she tries to smile. I know it's hard, but you're alive and you're strong. It's a miracle. But I want to tell her, it's not a miracle. It's magic. The doors open again, and in comes Alex and Rose. No more visitors, Yana says. You need to rest. Please, I say. They're my sisters. Nurse Yana purses her lips, but she caves, winking a big brow eye, just for tonight. The staff is already so busy with run-of-the-mill murders. I must have a bewildered expression on my face because Nurse Yana blinks and scrambles for something to say. Sorry it's been a long night. You too. No upsetting the patient. Scout's honor, Rose says, and we watch the nurse scuttle out of the room. When have you ever been a Girl Scout? Alex says, gathering her hair into a high ponytail. Rose shrugs. I don't know. That's what people say when they want to be believed in the movies. I could be a Girl Scout. Yes, I say, pulling my covers off to stretch my legs, even though I hurt from my finger joints to my toes. Did you bring the book? I asked Rose, my words coming in a rush. She holds up her backpack and passes it with her hand. And supplies. Do you really have to take my voice? I turn to Alex, rubbing my throat. She coughs, already feeling the recoil. It had to be convincing. They won't suspect a thing. How did you get that off, lady? I asked out of curiosity. And then Cantrix never reveals her secrets. She holds up the necklace of a dozen tiny mirrors. Transportation, Canto, Rose says. Can you not? Alex hisses. I assess everything we have. I hold the packs Gustavo gave me. Onyx for the dead, for the spirits. always given to the sickly and ill. I take a tiny pleasure in knowing that his gift is helping us complete the canto. It's all here. Hold on, Max. Please hold on. Alex helps me out of bed and says, let's wake up your sleeping beauty. Woo! They're about to wake him up. What's gonna happen? Okay, chapter 7. Gonna start with the quote. Follow my voice, my love, my love. Death cannot tear us apart. Take my hand, my love, my love. Follow the light of my heart. Just gonna get some water. All right. Starting in chapter 7. We go over the plan once again. After our parents went home for the first time in 4 days, Alex helped me put on a loose nightgown. Naked, I traced the horrible scar on the lower left side of my belly, where they pulled out the metal pole. As my sisters pack up everything we need, I wonder if one day I'll need more than a patchwork of scars. I wonder if one day I'll be more than a patchwork of scars. We have the book, onyx and blessed mirrors, candles, matches, Alex's dagger, and a bundle of desert sage for added witchery. Rose says. She's in charge of supplies because she's the most organized. We'll do a few laps around the floor so as not to raise suspicion before going to Max's room. Alex says. Then comes the easy part. I chuckle nervously. Healing Max's so he comes off life support? Right. Easy. Alex gnaws at her bottom lip like it's second breakfast. You'll have to cut yourself for this. Cantos like this require blood. Lots of it. Are you ready for that? My heartbeat spikes. My power is to heal, not to destroy. And yet, it's the only choice I can see. Alex has her own scar on her wrist from when she closed the portal to Los Lagos. If the gods require blood, I'm prepared to give it to them. I'll make myself ready. Alex holds my stare. Then let me ask you this. Are you absolutely sure you want to do this? Don't, I tell her. You said you'd give me this one try. I know you believe we're doing the right thing, she says. But you saw how the high circle reacted. A literal actual goddess revealed herself to you. You said Max's name was on her creepy death list. We might be going up against Lady de la Muerte. Even if you're not afraid of that, you've always feared the circle. Part of me wants to tell her about another name I saw in there. Noveno. Nova. I mean, how many Novenos are there in the world? It has to be him. But I need her focus, so I don't. Rose stays silent and brings my chair around. She's our peaceful middle ground. The high circle is wrong. Words I never thought I'd say. So since when have you thought that way? Alex asks. Since they were willing to let me die. Alex pushes my hair. Pushes my chair, and we start to make our way to Max's room on the other end of the floor. Hospitals give me the creeps. I'm a healer, and places like this make me feel if my magic is being dampened by the wires, tubes, and needles. I hold on to Rosa's hand tighter to make the feeling stop. I hate it here too, she says. She can't focus right when she's surrounded by so many people who are crossing over. It's like a bus station for the spirits. That makes us laugh, but we stop as a nurse rushes past us. She's too busy looking at the way I grip the armrest settle on, or how I can't stop my legs from trembling. When we turn the corner, we pass metal racks of supplies and more people rushing back and forth. No one stops to look at us or ask where we're going. Except one, a nurse. He looks up from his chart as we approach. There's something that makes him look out of place. His scrubs are a lighter blue than the others, and his brown hair is tied back at the nape of his neck. His face looks much too young to be working here, but he's got the dark circle of someone who works these graveyard shifts often. Can't sleep, he asks. Just tired of staring at the wall, I say. My heart leaps at the thought that he'd make us go back. He's going to ruin everything. I look up at Alex. Let's go. But he stands in my way, brown eyes taking in my seat from head to toe. Is your TV not working? I can get someone to fix it for you. No, I grab the wheels of my chair. Thanks, but I'm fine. You've gone through a lot, he says, lowering onto one knee at eye level. I can see the thick red scars that cuts across the stark black eyebrow. When he frowns, he looks older, maybe 20, but still not old enough to be a nurse. You need to rest. I take a deep breath. I stare at the nurse's scar. It's on the same side as mine. When his eyes settle on my scar, I feel a flash of anger. I don't want him to look at me. I need him to get out of my way. I need to get to Max's. Everyone here wants me to rest. Be calm. Be glad I'm alive. So I'll do just that. Just one more lap, I say and smile. Please. His features soften, and when he stands back up, a lock of his hair falls over his eye. He smirks like an animated prince and blows it away. All right, but if I check on you and you aren't there, we'll make sure she gets rest, Alex promises. She glances at Rose. Scout's honor. Rose gives Alex a glare that could burn her alive. He nods and then goes back to his clipboard. His shiny black shoes echo as he walks back down the hall, but when he turns the corner, the coast is clear. Let's go, I say. And without hesitating, Alex pushes my chair towards Max's room. The sound of wheels spinning on the tiled floor fills my ears. My heart squeezes like someone got their hand in my chest. It is trying to crush it because all I can think is, what if I'm too late? Coast is clear. Rose opens the door to his room and we go in. Max is alone in the dark. I turn on the light on the bedside table, casting an amber glow on the sterile white walls. There are tubes in his throat, tabs and wires trailing from his temples, wrists, and heart. His face is stitched up across his forehead, and his cheek, which is red and swollen. The hospital gown makes his skin appear even more gray, except where purple bruises the size of fists cover his arms. Despite all of that, his hair is parted nearly to the side. And I know Mrs. Horbachevsky's, this is her name, Horbachevsky must have only just left because he smells like fresh soap and her rosary is resting on the table beside him. Lula, Alex gently taps on my shoulder, a reminder that we have to get moving. First, we hang Lady's necklace over the door. Their mirrors are bathed in sacred waters and blessed with her magic. That way, during the canto, any spirit, alive or dead, human or immortal, will walk right past. We're invisible and in plain sight. I smile at how clever I feel, but I can't. Not until Maxis can breathe on his own. Next, I hold his still warm hand, and my sisters pull the bed toward the center of the room. Rose sets up a circle of squat silver candles, and Alex readies the book of cantos at the foot of the bed. I undo the back of his hospital gown and move it down just enough to expose his chest. My breath catches at the sight of scars, red like a nest of snakes settled on his chest. I hold my hand over his heart. I release a pulse of magic. His heartbeat reacts to it, like he recognizes me. I don't care what anyone says. He's still in there. Ready, I ask my sisters? Almost, Rose says, lighting the candles with a metal lighter. Her hand shakes and she makes a gasping noise, like she's choking. The lighter falls to the floor and its claver reverberates in the eerie stillness. What's wrong? I'm okay now. I felt someone cross over, Rose says, clutching her chest. Her eyes are glossy and she fumbles to finish lighting the candles. It's not usually this strong, but I think she's here. Alex parts the blind with her index finger. She motions for me to look. I drag my legs to the window, and every step feels like I'm walking on broken glass. A shadow inches its way down the hall. It never touches the floor. The black cloak rippling on air. I recognize the white hand gripping the onyx spear. She clicks it on the ground, leaving sparks in her wake. Lady de la Muerte is here to collect. We have to hurry. Finally, Rose finishes lighting the candles and a bundle of sage. She stands at the foot of Mock's bed, and Alex stations herself to the left. I use a metal railing on the side of his bed to balance myself. I press my hand on my stomach where my scar burns like a warning. I'm going to save you, I whisper. Alex draws her dagger from her waistband and hands it to me. It's small with a handle made of moonstone and has a small leather sheath. Do it, I say, and take the dagger from her. Alex holds her hand out, the air around us shifting instantly. She conjures a wind stream that flows from her body through Rose and into me. There isn't any power attached to it. And at first, it's like playing with a strong breeze. It's to get the flow of energy correct, cycling through the three of us and then into Max. I extend my arm over Max's torso. I drag the blade from my palm up my forearm and stop at the inside of my elbow. My blood falls in a red river running across the muscles of his chest like water down around mountains. The gash doesn't hurt right away, but everything else does. My bones, my muscles, my heart. I take a deep breath to steady myself because my vision spins. Alex, I say, to remind her that she can't change her mind now. She claps her hands together, pulling on her power, on the essence of the flames, on the smoking wafting from the sage. The blood magic pulses harder, in a way others cantos can't. Blood magic is the strongest of any kind. You sacrifice it because all gods ask for it. Blood is life, blood is everything. She's getting closer, Rose says, eyes shut. Her arms are outstretched, palms out, like she's stopping two force fields from closing against her. Now, I say. It's my turn to do my part. We join hands, forming a triangle over him. Healing isn't like other cantos. It's not about the words or ingredients. It's about what's in your heart. Maybe Alex and Rose don't love Max, but they love me, and I can use that. I clear my mind and think of the power I've held dear for so long. My magic rises when I call upon it, just like it did for Alex when I taught her how to heal in Los Lagos. The very thought of Los Lagos sends a shudder down my body that I'm sure my sisters can feel. My mind latches onto that pain, flashing to a more recent memory. Max is in his car, trying his hardest not to look at me. It's like your fire is gone, he said. Lula? Alex calls out. I'm fine. I can do this. I shut my eyes harder, searching for love in my heart. My whole life, I've tried to love as fiercely as I could. But didn't Alex tell me once that I gave my heart away too easily? Lula, Rose this time. I got it. I say, but there's a shadow around my power, and it clings like everlasting light. Like everlasting night. I know I have to push through. Little by little, I let the light in. I find it in small moments, like Max's smile and his laugh. The way he never let go of my hand when we were together. The way he looked at me that made me feel as if he'd never get enough. The way he reached for me when the bus was crashing, using his body to protect mine. My healing energy starts to flood through me, and I let it flow in the current Alex created at the start of the canto. It cycles through her, then to Rose, then back to me, and again, catching momentum until it hits the center of my chest. Alex is so powerful that the touch of her magic makes my entire body sigh as I experience exquisite relief from pain, as if I'm made of nothing but feathers. I've never felt power like this, but with it comes a darkness too, twisting around the one I already have in my heart, like two energies fighting for dominance. Next is Rose. Rose's power is like the slip of day into night. You don't notice it until it's completely dark. Rose's power makes the skin on my arms tingle with cold. It's like turning up my face to the sky and letting snowflakes kiss my skin. It's pure, and the brightness of it nearly overpowers Alex's and mine completely. We are 3 points of energy linking like chains until we are one force, and I direct that current into Max. I follow my voice, my love, I say, shuddering with the euphoria of this power. Death cannot tear us apart. Take my hand, my love, follow the light of my heart. My head feels like clouds drifting across a clear sky. I don't know if I'm the one swaying or if the floor has turned into soft earth. Lula, Rose snaps me to the present. Here, now, Max. I'm okay, I think, but can't speak it. I finish the canto. I help guide our powers to heal his wounds. I start with his ribs. The crash turned the right side of his rib cage into a mosaic of bones, and I focus on mending the breaks. A warm trickle of blood runs down my belly. Lula! Alex shouts. I'm falling to my knees. The pain in my ribs is too much to withstand, but I still bite down on the scream. We should stop, Rose says. If you stop, I say, I will never forgive you. Whoa. Rose gasps and lets her. Rose gasps and her eyes get cloudy and far away. Her body lifts a foot into the air. Her voice is strange, like someone speaking through her. Do not betray the Dios, Lula Mortis. Rose lands back on her feet and starts to pull her hands away from us. But once we break our hold, the bond will be severed and we won't be able to finish healing Max's. I hold on as hard as I can by the tips of my fingers because his life is depending on it. Rose's eyes return to the normal color. La Muerte is not happy. Lula, Alex says. Oh, wait. Lula, Alex. Lula, Rose. My ears pop like I'm being plunged deep into the sea. The recoil is hitting me hard, and I can hear my heart beat in every corner of my body. My skin feels tight, pulled from all sides, and I fear I might tear myself into ceasing to exist. Get some water real quick. Like when I'm reading scary books or like watching scary movies, I'm like, let's see. To ceasing to assess. But I have to be strong. The light of her magic moves across Max's ribs, then travels down to mend his spine and pelvic bone. I move to his organs, his collapsed lung that needs help breathing. I direct our power towards his chest, but it curves away. I try again, pushing the energy to mend his heart, but I hit a wall. Something is blocking my magic. I push hard against the invisible force, but it's like running straight into a barricade. It's not working, I cry out. Alex, why isn't it working? I don't know. I can feel her panic, her doubts, and realize it's part of her power being linked. A red light pulses in the room over Max's body. Rose's eyes become black again. The same way Lady de la Muerte's eyes turned when she took the bodies at the bus crash. Rosie, what do you see? Alex asked, her hands vibrating for the strain of trying to hold on. I can feel the others, Rose says, her dark gaze traveling all around the room, seeing things we cannot. She's here for all of them. We have to let go, Alex hisses. Keep going, I shout, squeezing both of their hands, palms slick with sweat and blood. We can't, Alex says, breathless. There's a block on his body. Lula, I can't. Then fix it. Her hand trembles in mine, but she doesn't let go. I can see their spirits, Rose says, her breathing rapid and labored. Max is there too. They're wandering in a room with 1,000 doors. She circles them. Wait, she's circling us. We're out of time. Then I realize what makes his magic powerful is his desire to want to do good, to value life, to save those who are hurt. Healing is the purest magic there is, and it's part of my life force. When I look at Max, I see the parts of me that used to be whole. And maybe it's desperate, maybe it's wrong, but I can't let him go. It's over, Alex says. Did you just read my mind? I shout at her. I can't help it. The channels are open. I'm picking up thoughts from all over the building, and I can tell you that Max isn't in there anymore. I told you we'd try once. Once. Let him go. I look down at his unmoving body. He has to be in there. The machines are picking up his vitals. His heart is still beating. The door behind us blasts open. Lady de la Muerte walks in. What I thought was a cloak before is a gathering of shadows that trail behind her, like she wears the dead she collects. Her spirit clicks on the scuffed hospital tiles. Names race across her powder white skin, and her lips are the blue of corpses. Stand aside, Lula Mortis. Nothing good can happen when the goddess of death knows your name. Please, I look at Alex and beg. Please, Alex, please. Because we're connected by our magic, I can hear Alex's heart racing. Because we're sisters, I know she's going to come through for me, even if she thinks I'm making a mistake. Alex's face is pained with indecision, but she finally turns. Her magic ripples across the room. Lady de la Muerte looks up. almost surprised I'm still standing in her way. She tries to grab to me to push me out of the way, but Alex has formed a barrier between us. I can't hold her for long, Alex says, struggling. And I realize Lady de la Muerte can't take Max's if he's tethered to the living. I let go of my sisters and press my blood-drenched hand on his chest and recite the binding canto. I can hardly hear my own voice over the thundering pulse in my ears, but I shout the words. These bodies, these spirits, together as one. This union eclipsed like the moon and the sun. The air around us crackles and splinters with light. Lady de la Muerte pounds her fists on Alex's barrier, and it sounds like someone is punching on bulletproof glass. The red light that ties Max's to me is like a harpoon, digging into my chest. When it finds its mark, it pulls hard. I fall forward on my knees, trying to hold on the side of my bed, but I slip on my own blood. The floor tilts and the room spins, forcing me all the way down. The pain in my bones keeps me from moving. I swayed in light, but I could see Max's hand dangling over the side of the bed. Slowly, his finger twitches. He lifts his hand, reaching, and I'm not there to hold him. I need to be there. My sisters are shouting. Lady de la Muerte calls my name. I turn to her. She uses her spear to stab at Alex's shield. The red light fills the room, pulsing to the beat of my heart. Death stares down at her hands. Her spear vanishes in an iron gray cloud. Then death is still. The shadows that trail at her back disappear. The names that scrolled on her forearms are gone, leaving nothing but translucent white skin. There's ringing all around, but I realize it's not in my head. The machines Max is hooked up to are emitting a round of sirens, whistles, and rapid beeps. Max's finger twitches again. I try to raise my hand, but it's like I'm magnetized to the floor, like I'm at the eye of a storm, and for the first time in so long, my heart is full. The wound on my arm is starting to sting, but I have to let him know that I'm here, that I saved him. I push and push until I'm there. When I touch Max's hand, hold it in mine, the sounds of sirens disappears. Even La Muerte is gone. No one calls my name anymore either. There's just his hand in mine. He squeezes once, just once. Then his hand goes slack, and I hear one more thing. The endless, unforgiving trill of a flat line. All right, chapter 8. And the quote, La tristeza, the sadness, lives alone in a river of salt, filled by all the world's tears. And we continue to chapter 8. What have you done to yourself? A doctor asked me, her voice full of pity. I float between waking and unconscious as my body is rushed down a hallway. Dark faces surround me. Each one is like staring at an X-ray, down to the radioactive skeletons beneath their skin. You have betrayed me, La Muerte says. Her voice is inside my head, louder than my own thoughts and memories. You betrayed me first, I shout. Where did you take him? Strong hands pin me down to the bed. Something pricks my arm, then a numbness travels along my skin. I lift my head to look at the hands sewing up my cut, but the fingers that hold the needle are nothing but bone. You're all dead, I say, trashing and kicking. I scream until my voice is hoarse, and it takes half a dozen people to strap me down. My body no longer feels like it's mine. The pain is there, like it has become a part of me, and I'll never be rid of it. I need a psych eval, one of the skeletons shouts into the darkness, shoving a syringe into my good arm. And for a long time I lie still, staring at the lights on the ceiling, like white suns floating over me. I don't realize I've been asleep until I hear the steady beep of the heart monitor. Max was pronounced dead at 2:18 a.m. 2 days ago. 2 days since both of my cantos failed, since my magic failed, since I failed. 2 days of questions and tests and people walking on eggshells around me. When I woke up today, I pretended to still be asleep to avoid the shrink they keep sending in. I don't want to see anyone, not doctors or nurses or my parents or Alex. Rose is the only comfort because when she's with me, she doesn't force me to talk. Max is dead, I think. Lady de la Muerte took him. Then she just disappeared. 1 minute she was there, and the next she was gone. Like Max. 1 minute he was awake, the next he was gone. I try to swallow the terrible taste on my tongue. I'm thirsty. I ache in parts of my body I didn't know could ache. Through the open blinds, I can see Alex talking to the police as Rose lingers against the wall by herself. My parents talk to the doctors. Max's mother is there too, dressed in morning black. She keeps her head bent into her husband's chest, and a fresh swell of tears stream from my eyes. None of them are aware I'm awake except for one person. The nurse has stopped to speak to me on the way to Max's room. I wonder if he's mad, if he regrets not making me go back to my room the night of the canto. I want to close my eyes again, but it was so hard to open them that I stare back at him. He makes for my room, and I sink my face deeper into the covers. The door opens, and I hear him walk across the floor. I can feel him standing beside my bed. I'm sorry about your boyfriend, he says, picking up my medical chart. He's the first person in this hospital to say that to me. I choke on a sob because I don't want sympathy. I want Max's mother to shout at me. I want Detective Hill to throw me in jail for murder. I want blame, not forgiveness. But you're stronger than this, he says softly. How would you know something like that? I ask reflexively. I suppose I'm speaking for what I've seen so far. The sound of his pen scratching against paper bothers me, and I pull up the covers over my ears. Your family wants to see you. Should I tell them you're awake? I don't want to see anyone. Well, you have to. No one has ever seen anything like this. Like what? Not even Rose would tell me what happened after I passed out the first time. I bring down my covers and look at him. His brown hair is still tied back, and the dark circles around otherwise young eyes are deeper than last I saw him. I wonder if he's gone home at all. I'll tell you everything I know if you promise to let your family see you. Yes, okay. Tell me. He takes a seat on the chair beside me. He sighs and shakes his head slightly. One of your sisters went to get a nurse because Max's vitals were showing he was waking up. You were on the floor. They carried you out and gave you a blood transfusion. Thankfully, you didn't damage anything vital when he slashed open your arm. That doesn't make sense. I heard him flatline. How could I have heard him flatline if I wasn't in the room? But saying that would send me to the psych wing. Are you sure they took me away? I asked. He nods. We took him off life support because he was trying to breathe on his own. For all intents and purposes, Max was awake. I checked his vitals. He called out for you. Said your name once. He tried to fight the nurses and ripped the stitches in his abdomen. We were able to sedate him. When we sent him for x-rays, they showed that his bones were healed completely. The bleeding stopped in his stomach. He didn't look like he just had his spine shattered or had a metal pole driven through his torso. But by all scientific reasoning, he shouldn't have been alive. I shut my eyes, fighting the ache in my skull. Where did you learn your bedside manner? I guess that's what happened when you're around a lot of dead people. You forget how to talk to the living. The corner of his mouth quirks up. Not quite a smile. He licks his lips and sits forward like he caught himself getting too comfortable. He looks over his shoulder at where my family is huddled, gripping coffee cups like lifelines. Max's parents are gone. Keep going, I urge him on. Max was alive. I didn't completely fail. So what went wrong? We called his parents and told them that Max's was awake. They'd gone home for the first time in 5 days. They came in to see him. He even smiled at his mother. Then he started seizing. Apparently, when he was born, he had a hole in his heart. Wait, I need to read this part over because I didn't get it, but it's important. We called his parents and told them that Max's was awake. They'd gone home for the first time in 5 days. They came in to see him. He even smiled at his mother. Then he started seizing. Apparently, when he was born, he had a hole in his heart. It was repaired, but the doctors say despite the miracle, his heart gave out. I tried to stifle a cry and it comes out as a whimper. Sometimes there are signs of recovery, and then... I don't need to hear that. My canto went wrong. My magic failed me. I never felt so helpless and alone, and I don't know how to start fixing all the things I've said to my family. Please leave. He nods once and moves toward the door. I'll send your family back in. We had a deal. I sit up, every muscle in my core and arms throbbing angrily. What were you thinking? Mom says. Now that she knows I'm alive, she's gone from worried to angry. No, the look on her face tells me she's more than angry. Scared. Disappointed. What if we couldn't get to you in time? It worked, I say, and look at Alex. For a moment, it worked. My dad sits on the chair beside me. Alex and Rose hover around my bed with guilty looks on their faces. You of all people should have known better, Alejandra. Alex shuts her eyes, prepared to take whatever comes. There's a green ring around her eye when she takes off her sunglasses. I see the bruises on her chest, barely covered by her shirt. Ma, don't ma me right now. All three of you have no idea what forces you're dealing with. You've put a target on this family. Carmen, my father says, his voice is even and calm. She just lost him. Let her grieve. My mother's chest rises and falls quickly. Her brown eyes glisten. My mother doesn't cry. Ever. Now she blinks the tears back so not a single one falls. Don't tell me about loss, Patricio. I lost you for years. We're silent. The steady beep of the heart rate monitor reminds us that we're here, that there is nothing being said for minutes that stretch out, long and painful. Rose trembles and cries silently. Alex frowns at the floor. They hold each other's hands and a distance grows between them and me. I'm still worried. All I can say is, can we go home? Before my mother can answer, a new nurse comes in. You're awake, she tells me, holding up her clipboard to write something. I'll check on you in just a minute. The other nurse already checked them, I tell her. What nurse? Her smooth forehead crinkles. Uh-oh, is that nurse real? Let me see. You're awake, she tells me, holding up her clipboard. I'll check on you in just a minute. The other nurse already checked on them, I tell her. What nurse? Her smooth forehead crinkles. The guy, I say. I try to think of his name, but can't remember, if he ever told us. I look to Alex. We saw him the other night. I leave it implied that it was when we were going to Max's room. Alex shakes her head. I don't think he told us his name. What did he look like? The nurse asks, a hand to her hip. Her voice is high-pitched, and I can sense her sudden nervous energy. I can't really remember his face, but I can remember the most striking parts about him. Young, long ponytail, tan. He was wearing blue scrubs and dress shoes. Long ponytail. Now she looks concerned. I don't know any male nurse or anyone here who looks like that. Give me a minute. What's going on? Mom raises her voice. The nurse starts to leave, but I have to know. Who was he? Was everything he said to me true? Wait. I'm sorry, she says, but I had to report this right away. Then she's gone, rushing out the door with her sneakers squeaking against the floor. We sit in silence for a little while longer. Mom keeps pacing and muttering prayers. Dad hesitates before placing his hand on top of mine, like he thinks he won't be welcome. I'm surprised at how foreign it feels, so much so that I almost pull away. Instead, I just lie there and retrace my steps during the canto. The brightness of her magic and the darkness slithered in there. La Muerte breaking through Alex's barrier. You have betrayed me. Then my nurse runs past my room and points down the hall. A trio of security guards rush in the direction she's pointing. The static of their walkie-talkies alerts others to a potential threat. I pull off my covers, but my mom presses her hands on my shoulder. The nurse comes back in. Her cheeks are flushed, and she places her hands on her heart. What happened? My dad asks. Lula, the nurse says, her voice slow and deep. I need you to tell me everything that man said to you. Try to remember exactly what he looked like and what he said. You're stronger than this. That's what he said. Why? I asked. I rip off the tabs that measure my heartbeat to make the beeping stop. What did he do? He doesn't work here. She traces a symbol of the cross over her chest. How can he not work here? Alex says. We've seen him for days. There's a loud commotion outside my bedroom. Alex goes in the window and pulls open the blinds. Detective Hill runs past with 3 security guards from before. More police officers join them. Are you saying someone's been posing as a nurse? My mom asked protectively. The nurse is in a daze. Like she can't believe what she's about to say. We caught him on security camera entering the morgue. That's where the cops are going now. I feel my heart sink. What would he want in the morgue? Max. The bodies, she says, trembling. They're all missing. Oh, it's about to get interesting. Okay. So, we're on part 2, the body. I kind of want to keep going a little bit longer, but I just want to drink some water. I think I'm taking a break like every hour, just for like 3 minutes or something, so I can drink some water. It's getting good. So I'm just gonna do a quick little pause for about like 3 minutes, and I will be right back, and then we'll read a couple more chapters because it's getting too good. We're actually at a good part right now. So I will be back. Give me just a second, and we will resume. Okay, I am back from the break. So we're starting part 2. A little synopsis would be that they found out the nurse was a fake guard. And he was in the morgue doing something suspicious, and all the bodies are now gone. So we will continue reading and see what happens in part 2. So let's see. We're on chapter 9. I'm going to read the quote as per usual. Through and through the passage of time, upward and downward, your love will be mine. Sorry, I'm looking at this just to make sure you guys can hear me. Okay. Just make sure the sound is right. This could have been a love story, but Max is dead. And I have come to terms with everything I've done. I hurt myself. I corrupted my magic. I betrayed my mother's trust. I'm hoping... Let's see. Okay, perfect. Sorry. I have 2 mics on. I just... Streamlabs is the... I still get used to Streamlabs. I won't say it's the worst, but it's not the best. I might do StreamYard. We'll see. But we will continue with the book. I'll reread the sentence. But Max is dead, and I have to come to terms with everything I've done. I hurt myself. I corrupted my magic. I betrayed my mother's trust. I made my sisters complicit. I have more questions than answers, more regret than hope, and a pain that might never go away. Yet I'm still alive when others aren't. The world is upside down. But there's a twisting, unshakable hurt in my chest that just wants Max back. Max is back. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it's wrong, but I do. Lula, Rose's voice brings me back to the present. Her eyes glance toward the news. Do you want me to turn it off? I shake my head and try to smile. She hits the mute button anyway. I should focus on my visitors. It's mid-June and 2 days since I've been home. Our summers are usually spent darkening our skin at Coney Island, but I know this summer will be different because I'm different in ways I can't even explain. Today would have been prom. But it was canceled out of respect for the families of the dead. My dress is hanging in my closet, wrapped in clear plastic from the dry cleaner. I was going to go to Cassandra's house to get ready, and Paul and Max were going to pick this up. At least you're alive, a voice hisses at me. I catch a silent tear from the corner of my eye and try to focus on my guests. I can't climb the stairs every day, so my parents turned the living room into my bedroom. Ma even brought down my altar, but I can't bring myself to light any of the colorful new candles the girls have brought for me. A tall black taper with gold flecks to banish evil. A cherry red candle mixed with ripe rose petals to mend a broken heart. Simple white ones in tall glass cylinders. A new start. The Brujas from my magic lessons are here to cheer me up, despite the high circle warning them to stay away. Adrian, whose dad would have a stroke if he knew his son was here, is having his tarot cards read by Rose. Paloma, Emma, and Mai regale me with gossip about local brujas, but they circle back to me in the accident when the news replays their breaking story. That's the detective that was here earlier, right? Paloma points at the screen. She sits cross-legged on the carpet, her slender fingers toying with her straight raven black hair. Is he still asking you questions? Emma sighs, pressing her hand to her chest. She's got her mother's blue eyes and russet hair. Her Argentine accent is musical, and her voice is as sharp as her features. You're so lucky. Imagine if you'd been caught working real magic. At least they just think you were going to. She can't say it, so she points the bandages on my left arm. Romeo and Juliet, yourself. A dark laugh leaves my lips, and it scares them. Yeah, at least I'm that lucky. You know you can talk to us, Mai says, but her voice drowned out by Emma. I'm just saying, Emma lifts her shoulder and drops it dramatically. The high circle. Can't touch me, I say, holding her gaze until she looks away first. No. She picks at a loose thread on the carpet, but the Knights of Levant can. My mom says the hunters will look for any excuse to arrest us. The Sinmago police haven't caught that nurse guy, and a bunch of bodies vanished into thin air. How long before they come looking for you? Let's hope they catch him, Mai says, because then you witches are off the hook. We're not on the hook, Rose says. She never takes her eyes off the card she flips. The 10 of daggers, each one driven through a tiny hair. I swallow the knock sensation in my throat, but it doesn't help. I have a terrible feeling. It's everywhere. My gut, my heart, my bones. Sometimes when I look at people out of the corner of my eyes, I see skeletons instead of bodies. What if La Muerte cursed me? What if the hunters come for us? What if the lions locks me up? Maybe we should talk about something else. Paloma says, taking a dulce de leche puff from one of the many sugary treats on the coffee table. It's amazing how some people can avoid reality so easily, turning to something like self-preservation and denial mixed together. My Aunt Reina is teaching me how to conjure crystals, but I can only get them the size of a bead right now. You look really good on TV, Mai says, raising a mirror to check her lipstick. The bright pink is a beautiful contrast on her dark brown skin, but when she presses her fingers to her high cheekbone, her glamour magic ripples. Mai was the first person to show up with a bouquet of pink carnations, El Amor's favorite flower, and a tray of her famous brownies dotted with huge chunks of caramel. I know Mai means well, but everything she says makes me want to smash the candles on my altar and scream. I remind myself that she doesn't know what to say to me. None of them do. So they just talk and don't think of their words. Everyone wants me to be better, feel better, without giving me the time to do so. The camera adds 10 dark circles, I say, fastening my bathroom robe to give my hands something to do. Really? Emma asks, her lips round in confused O. She's just playing, Mai tells Emma. You look really skinny though, Lou. Your waist is the size of my neck. What diet did they have you on? Because I'm about to try it. The nearly dead diet, Rose grumbles. She glares at Mai and snatches another caramel brownie from the large tray. Don't worry, Rosie. Your baby weight will fall right off soon enough, Mai smiles. And I'm pretty sure she says half the things she does to get under people's skin. I wish I could say the same for your personality, Alex tells her, marching from the kitchen and past the living room archway. Stacks of clean towels and bed sheets are balanced in her arms. She winks at Rose and heads back upstairs. No one was talking to you, Mai shouts. She's fought with Alex since they were kids. For a long time, Mai was the one with a strange power. Glamour magic isn't rare, but it isn't common either. It's unique enough that the High Circle always said they'd keep a spot open for her when she grew into her powers. But when Alex came of age as an enchantress, the invitation went away. Although, after everything that's happened now, I don't think the High Circle wants anything to do with any of the Mortis girls. I almost feel sorry for Mai. From the corner of my eye, I can see her real face, the one she hides behind a glamour under the illusion. Her nose is crooked from a nasty fall when she was 10, and her dark skin is dotted with angry red acne that no elixir has been able to cure. Every time she hides her face behind the glamour, new marks appear on her skin, and in turn, she hides it with more magic. But that's the thing. One of our universal laws is that we can't use our power on ourselves. I can't heal myself, and Rose can't see her own future. And so, the more Mai glamours herself, the worse it'll be for her in the end. I can't believe you're on TV, Paloma says, voice like sticky syrup. I've always wanted to be on TV. Mai slaps her upside the head. Do you also want to go to the hospital? Paloma realizes the folly of her wish and gives me an apologetic smile. Where's Alex going? Adrian, a new addition to our class, asks. He's 15 and one of Gustavo's sons. He cranes his neck towards the creaky wooden stairs that lead to the second floor. She's helping my mother. I say, does your dad know you're here? He knows I'm with Mai, he says by way of explanation. His hair is a mop of straight, inky blackness, and his skin is hazelnut brown. Are they healing? Can I watch? My dad never lets me do anything. Yes, they're healing, I say, slumping down on the couch. I am grateful for my friend's visit, but they've been here for hours, and I'm exhausted from their endless questions about what it felt like to be put to sleep or have doctors proud around in my gut. And no, you can't watch. He frowns. I wanted to talk to Alex about what to do, when your powers come. Why don't you talk to us? Paloma asks, as if her voice were a color. It would be an acidic green. Because she's an enchantress, Adrian says, as if it should be obvious. She's the only one in our generation. And she knows nothing about magic or our history, Mai says, sounding more like her mother every day. None of that matters, I say. You can be the perfect little bruja, but the dios won't care, if they ever cared at all. How can you say that? Emma asks. Easy. I use my words. I eat another swing they brought for me, but I eat another sweet thing they brought for me, but the sugar tastes like dust, and I've lost my appetite again. There's no need to be snippy with Emma, Mai says. We know you're going through a hard time. No, you don't. I sit up, my words turning to poison as they slither off my tongue. You don't know anything about what I've gone through or what I've seen. You guys want to sit around in a circle and summon ghosts and glamour yourselves for fun, but the rest of us have to deal with real life. My sister is an enchantress, but if you want to talk about her, I will be the one to end you. Paloma rolls her eyes and scoffs in my direction. You're no fun anymore, Lula. You're no fun anymore. No fun anymore. Her words ring in my ears. Max said something like that to me once. I don't care what Paloma thinks. They don't understand. Not my Singmago friends, and not these witches. Magic transforms. Magic is also unpredictable and unforgiving. You don't know who you'll become after wielding it. Suddenly, despite the room full of brujas and a brujo, I feel alone. My heart gives a sharp jolt, like there's something piercing it. I shut my eyes and let the pain subside. It's hurting again, isn't it? Mai says, frowning. You should tell your mom. I breathe in and out slowly. I keep getting this pain in my chest. I have so many broken parts that a tiny pinch in my chest should be the least of my worries. But it keeps happening at odd intervals. We can try to heal you, Paloma says. The most Paloma has ever used her power for is to change her failing grades into A's. We're not natural healers like you, but maybe there's something in the book of cantos. And wind up turning into a slug, I say, trying to sound like the old Lula, the one they expect me to be so quickly. I'll pass. Have a little faith, Mai tells me. In this light, she's ethereal, like a fairy queen lounging, taking slow bites of the chocolate caramel treats. I have faith, I say, gruffer than I wanted to. But Mai looks at my unkept altar, and Emma purses her lips skeptically. Well, Paloma says, we failed in cheering you up. I'm sorry, I say. It's too soon. These same girls I've known my whole life. Girls I've shared magic with stare at me like I'm a stranger. Their eyes are full of worry. It's something else I couldn't place until just now. Fear. They're all afraid of me, with the exception of Adrian. He looks like he wants to move in and fanboy over my sister. Thank you for coming over. Thank you for coming over, I tell them, trying to salvage this visit. Rose goes upstairs to help our parents and Alex. My friends gather their purses and I walk them out. The girls kiss me on the cheek and give me their blessings. Before they reach the door, they touch the statue of La Mama that we keep in the foyer, as is customary. Each girl does this, rubs a hand, and walks out. I stand on the porch and watch them exit our metal fence and turn down the street. They hold hands and break into a laugh halfway down the block. Jealousy tugs at me because I can't remember the last time I laughed like that. I can't remember the last time I didn't have a nightmare featuring shadow monsters or skeletons reaching for my throat. Hey, Adrian says, standing behind me. I jump and swear loudly. Don't sneak up on people. Why didn't you leave with your circle? I wasn't sneaking, he says, and I don't want to be part of that circle. I just came because I wanted to meet Alex. I'll tell her you stopped by, kid. I tell him and start to head back inside. Does it get easier? He asks, shoving his hands in his pockets. At first glance, he's a normal kid. Fresh kicks, new jeans, a band t-shirt. Now looking into his big brown eyes, framed by eyelashes, most girls would kill to have. I see the power he doesn't know what to do with. The power that haunts my own family. The magic, I mean. Does it get easier? How do I give this kid hope when I don't have any for myself? I swallow the hurt that bubbles up in my throat and blink away the tears that are multiplying like the heads of a hydra. Not always, I say honestly. It's different for everyone. Have you told your dad? He shakes his head. He wants to wait for my death day to be... He shakes my head. He wants to wait for my death day to let me try any cantos. But look, he holds his hand out, palm up, and conjures a tiny tornado that spins at the center. Fleeks of dirt, tiny leaves, and are pulled into the breeze. It's only for a second, but some of the most beautiful magic I've seen in so long. Magic without death or darkness. I take his hand in mine, and the baby tornado disappears as I close his fingers into a fist. That's amazing. He looks down at his sneakers shyly. Really? Yes, really. But you have to be careful. Talk to your dad, okay? I'm sure Alex would love to help you out, but first start with family. Take your own advice, a voice whispers in the back of my thoughts. He smiles and runs down the porch steps, waving at me. Most of the brujas I know have faint traces of power, and here Adrian can command the wind. I head back in the house to get Alex, but I notice a bundle left on the floor. Flowers. They're still wrapped in plastic. They're the darkest plum, nearly black, in the shadow of our doorstep. I never knew flowers could be this color or shape, wild and elegant at the same time, like a cross between orchids and roses. There's no note attached. I can't imagine who would leave me flowers. A sharp ache pulled at my chest again when I think of the impossible. Max. I bring the flowers in with me and shut the door. I sit in front of the TV, but only the evening news is on, and we don't have cable. I flip channels, but the same image appears every time I press the button. A breeze finds its way into the living room, bringing the scent of summer barbecue and car exhaust. The door must be open. I shake my head. I thought I shut it. I know I shut it, but yesterday I also put the remote in the freezer. My body aches in protest as I get off the couch again. After I close the door, I turn the bottom lock and the deadbolt and do the chain on the top. I settle back on the couch and wrap myself in a blanket. Wailing noises come from upstairs, where it's all hands on deck as my mom tries to heal 5 fairy children who picked a fight with a preteen werewolf pack. I ignore the tugging sensation in my chest. It's not pain. It's like dust that never settles. It's like the rumble before a storm. Then I see the words flash red across the screen. 2 Brooklyn teens found dead. I turn up the volume as loud as possible. The news anchor looks somberly into the camera and speaks. Reports confirm 2 teenage boys were found and pronounced dead on the scene in Coney Island, Brooklyn. Adam Silvera is on site with the person who discovered the bodies. Adam? The camera cuts to a crowded street. The setting sun is red and angry behind a tall reporter as he holds out a microphone to a middle-aged black woman whose eyes look like they're going to pop out of her skull. Thanks, Naomi. I'm here with Beatrice Jean. Mrs. Jean, can you tell us what you saw? I just finished my shift at the hospital. I walk home. I've always felt safe when I tripped over something. I thought I was being attacked. I didn't know what I was seeing. My feet were covered in blood. How did no one see them? No one. It sounds like you're in shock. Of course I'm shocked. I've lived here for 30 years. I've never in my life seen something like this. She makes the sign of the cross over her torso. Thank you for your time. The camera moves away from Mrs. Jean's face, but the haunted look in her eyes lingers in my mind. The mic shakes in Adam's hand. The police have closed down neighboring streets and are canvassing the areas. There are no suspects. One of the victims has been identified as a student from Thornhill High School by his school ID. The other victim carried no identification. My heart thunders in my chest and I double over as the pain becomes unbearable. Despite that, I have a driving urge to run. I pull on jeans and a hoodie and head for the door. I don't leave a note. I don't take my phone. I rub the hand of La Mama statue as I leave, but when my thumb grazes a porcelain, the hand breaks cleanly off at the wrist. Words echo in my ears. You have betrayed the Dios. When I unlock the door and step outside, my body sighs. A light, warm as flesh, but completely transparent materializes over my chest. It unfurls into a dozen silver threads that float in front of me like jellyfish tentacles. One string of silver light is brighter than the rest, and it tugs me forward. I don't know where it leads, but if I want answers about what's happening to me, I know I have to follow it. Chapter 10. Okay. I'm going to read the quote. And they feared her touch so cold, her cloak of shadow, her thorns of gold. Songs of Lady de la Muerte, Book of Cantos. And we start chapter 10. I race toward the subway. Garbage and dirty water lodged in storm drains cook under the June sun. Nothing smells like New York during the summer. As I pass a mass of strangers, no one bats an eye at me or the silver thread coming from my chest. I run across the street to make the light. The pain shoots up my hips and settles around my abdomen, and I stumble into an old woman selling mangoes from a car. ¿Estás bien? Are you okay? She asks me, raising a gloved hand stained with the sticky fruit juice. I try to smile, but when she looks at the scars on my face, she can't help but jump back a bit. I'm fine. I say, thank you. I enter the subway station, swipe my Metro card, push a turnstile with my hands, and make a beeline toward the front end of the platform. I tie my hair into a bun and pull up my hood. I'm wearing Max's hoodie from the first year on the team. It's too big for me, but hopefully it'll help cover up my curves and make me look like a boy. My face has been on the evening news as the only survivor of the crash, and I don't want to be recognized. The train barrels into the station, stale air pushing against my hot skin when the doors open up. The train car is empty because there's a man passed out across 3 seats and the air conditioner is broken. It's better this way, less chance I'll be recognized. I take a seat on the opposite end of the car. I try to breathe through my mouth, but the smell is overwhelming. Like stale beer. Sea sludge and urine. It's only a few more stops to Coney Island. I stare at the thin white scars on the top of my hands from the shattered glass that fell around me during the crash. The silver threads from my chest have dimmed except for one, floating in the direction the train is going. My heart gives another painful tug. I imagine this is what fish feel like when they have a hook driven through their chest and they get reeled in. I lean my head back, feeling every bump and jostle the train makes when a whistling noise fills the air. Lula mortis, something hisses. The man jerks into a sitting position. His skin is pale and covered in dirt, and his hair is matted into clumps. His eyes snap open and find me instantly. His irises go from brown to black, then spread like an ink stain across the whites of his eyes. His mouth stretches in an unnatural way, like someone pulling his jaw open. Tattered shadows slither from the ground and trail inside, rattling his entire body. My heart races as I dart to the doors. The train is approaching. The next stop with the platform zooms by. Oh, hell. I rattle off a string of curses and start to run for the red emergency lever you're never supposed to pull. What's more of an emergency than being attacked on the train by someone possessed? But the train brakes abruptly. The The momentum flips me over once, and I hit the sticky floor with a thud. I fear I've ripped my stitches as something wet hits my skin. When I touch it and bring it to my nose, it's just ketchup. The train conductor makes an announcement. We're stuck between stations. The lights flickering inside the car and out in the tunnel. Ladies and gentlemen, crack, muffle, crackle. Unexpected crackle static shortly. Great. I'm locked in the train car with a possessed man while my body is being pulled like there's a master puppeteer at work. I push up on my elbows. My wrist feels sprained, but I rummage through my belongings for something, anything I can use. My pockets are empty except for a few bucks and my Metro card. And keys. I crab crawl away from the man who stands slowly. The last of the shadows enter his mouth. And when he's done shaking, his black eyes snap to where I'm crawling on the dirty floor of the Q train. I grab my keys and grip them tightly between my fingers. Jumbled thoughts fill my head. I survived a multi-vehicle crash and 2 surgeries. But I'm going to be murdered in the subway? Why did I leave my pepper spray at home? Why didn't I leave a note for my sisters so they'll know where to look for me? Why did I yell at my dad for the past 8 months he's been at home? Why do people throw their garbage here? Why isn't my power as strong as Alex's? Just why? Then at that thought, the man reaches for me and I strike my fist into his gut. He makes a choking sound but keeps advancing. His breath is hot on my face and my stomach turns when he grabs my shoulder. I kick wildly until he stumbles back a few steps, but I'm positive it hurts me more than him. I scream through the pain as I roll over. I try to pull myself up, but the train jostles and I fall again. I'm not here to hurt you, Lula Mortis, the voice hisses. His face contorts, fighting the thing inside of him. I don't believe you, I say. Despite the fear that makes my legs tremble, I've heard of possessions, but I've never seen one. Its dark energy ripples beneath the pale graying flesh. What are you? The man shakes his head slowly, cracked lips lifting over rotten teeth. You know me. I do. The way my insides twist and my skin puckers with a sudden temperature drop tell me exactly who this is. Lady de la Muerte. Her voice is like a living shadow, slithering and coiling around my sentences. When I struggle to get to my feet, I drag myself on the floor until I hit the locked train doors. What do you want is all I can get out. Not want. Need. Lights spark in the tunnel as the train tries to move but can't. The conductor cranks out another announcement. Something about the brakes. Something about connections. Don't worry. Stay calm. We're moving shortly. But help isn't coming for me. You've betrayed me, she speaks through the man. You have betrayed the balance of the worlds. My first reaction is to say, I know, but I can't be snarky with death. Then what are you waiting for? I ask. I hold my arms out to the side and I drop my keys. I can't fight her. I'm not strong enough to fight her. The train slams to another stop, but the possessed body rises inches off the floor and is suspended in the air. He opens his mouth again, shadows undulating like dark water. I need you. What could I possibly give you? You're a god. I am trapped between, she says. The last word cuts out in static. The possessed man next turns at an unnatural angle, bones snapping when the head moves too close to the shoulder. You must free me. Death isn't here to kill me. My moment of brief relief is instantly replaced with panic. Free you? How? Where are you? The man starts to shake and cough up black mucus. His head rolls back and his mouth snaps wide open as a living shadow starts to escape. Retrieve my spear. You do not know what you've created. Trapped between what? I ask. Where is the spear? The shadows purge from the man's mouth and leave him unconscious on the floor. The lights above stops flickering, and the train moves again at a snail's pace. I hold onto the metal rung, unable to steady my hand. Death is trapped. Death wants me to free her. I'm swallowing the dryness of my tongue when I realize the man on the ground hasn't moved since La Muerte left his body. The train lurches forward and barrels out of the tunnel and into the light of the above-ground platforms. The The train chugs into the next station. I kneel and put my hand on his shoulder to jostle him awake. He doesn't move. I press my fingers on his neck to feel for a pulse that isn't there. The train comes to a stop. I have to get out of there. The thread in my chest returns, silver threads tugging in different directions. I pull my hoodie closer to my face. When the doors open, I run and don't look back. Before I reach the subway, I hear someone scream, "Someone call 911. He's dead." When I get out of the subway, I leave the mayhem behind, blending into the crowds of the Coney Island station. The sweet scents of fried dough and sunscreen mingle with sea breeze. I take deep breaths to stop myself from shaking. I think of the fate of the man in the car. There is nothing I could do for him. The gods can't inhabit human bodies, not without killing the host and destroying all traces of their soul, leaving behind a hollowed shell. I press my shaky fingers to my lips and whisper a prayer for the dead man. I cross the street, following the thread that's been leading me here. Sweat drips down my back and between my breasts. I pull off my hoodie and tie it around my waist. I don't have to worry about being recognized here. Hundreds of people disperse from the train station across Surf Avenue. I head down Stillwell Avenue until I'm on the boardwalk. Each step is like wading through a vat of mud, but the light of the threads grows stronger. The pain in my chest throbs like a fresh wound. I hang onto the metal railings and wait for the pain to subside. When it doesn't, I know something is wrong. My family healed me, and while their magic can't fix everything that's wrong with me, I shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't feel like there's broken glass at my feet and fire in my muscles. Right now, I want my sisters, even if it means listening to Alex yell at me for being reckless and leaving the house in this condition, for being marked by Lady de la Muerte, for not saying a word about this sensation that's pulling me toward an unknown. Sea breeze caresses my face, and a swell of angry tears spill down my cheeks as I keep pushing forward. I follow the silver thread across uneven boardwalk planks towards the parachute tower. When I see the carousel, I freeze. My heart runs laps in my chest, and I turn around so I won't have to look at it. Instead, I watch the dark blue waves and the seagulls that fight for scraps in the sand. This is where Max has brought me on our first date. The carousel had just been brought back to Coney Island, original wooden horses and all. I rode a white horse decked out in gold filigree and brilliant pastels, and Max stood beside me. No one has ever looked at me the way he did. He watched me like I was a marvel that could vanish at any moment, like a surf breaking over the shoreline, there and then gone. We went round and round on that carousel all night, stopping once to buy cotton candy. I don't even remember what we talked about, but I remember the world spinning around us, the twinkling lights, the bells chime music. I remember the way he leaned in to kiss me, a kiss like the melting of spun sugar across my tongue. The thread in my chest tugs again, hard. I turn in his direction and face the carousel. The sea air has made the paint crackle and chip, and though the gold accents have lost their shine, there's still something magical about it. There are other couples and groups of kids on the ride. We casually glance at the guy with the stark gray skin and the scars on his face. They stare at the stained t-shirt that hugs his bruised arms and the red stains around his mouth that look like blood. But in his hand is a snow cone, cherry ice dribbling down his hand and onto his worn jeans. The silver thread pulses brighter, faster, and the other end drives it. The silver thread pulses brighter, faster, and the other end drives into his chest. He looks down, then follows it back to me. Dual blue eyes stare at me without recognition. I swallow hard and breathe slowly, trying to quiet the fear in my heart, because there's nothing in this world that could have prepared me for this. I stand at the edge of the ride and wait for it to come to a full stop. Words fail me as I watch him stand, watch his chest rise and fall. "Lula," he says, eyes darting around my face like he's coming out of a fog. He skips the bottom steps and flings his arm around me. I swallow the cry that gathers in my throat. "I got lost," he says, gripping my hair and squeezing me until I'm afraid my stitches will rip. I hold him tighter out of the fear that my legs will give out beneath me. I don't know how this is possible. His skin is cold and his wounds still look fresh. But he's breathing. He's here. La Muerte's warning flits through my mind. You have betrayed the balance of the worlds. But I don't care. Maxis is alive, and nothing, not even La Muerte, will tear us apart. Chapter 11. Okay. Put this over here. In the right spot. Okay. Just get a sip of water real quick. Read the quote. It says, Las memorias, the memories. Sisters two, one who forgets and one who thinks of you. A third body was found today in Brooklyn. An unidentified man was discovered dead on the Coney Island-bound Q train this evening. Witnesses describe a young Hispanic boy running off the train in a hurry before the body was discovered. If anyone has information on the suspect, contact the police. The news plays on a small screen in the back of the taxi that the news plays on a small screen in the back of the taxi that takes Max's and me back to my house. He stares out the window the entire time. His eyes focus on the strangest things. The flurry of dust in the air, the play of light and shadows as we drive through an underpass. The peeling stickers on the partition, and a single drop of water that hits the window announcing rain. Every few minutes he looks at me and it's like nothing has changed, even though the stitches on both of our faces and bodies say otherwise. I reach for his hand. The cold of his skin is jarring, but slowly he stares at our hands and threads his finger with mine. Familiar. What happened to me, he asks. I think of my mother's words at the hospital. I don't know who you'd get back, but it might not be Max. I don't know what to tell him. You are dying and I tried to save you? You're gone and now you're here? I tried to form a coherent explanation, but what if it scares him? When I was little, when my dad first disappeared, I remember asking my mom, where did Dad go? And she looked at me with a smile and eyes glistening with tears too stubborn to fall. She talked about everything but. Do you want to see something cool? She asked me. Want to see the circle make magic? And I did, because magic was the best thing in my life. Magic was a living, beautiful force that coursed through my veins. That's why my mom took me to her high circle meeting and I watched them dance around an ailing person. They covered her in wet corn leaves and used bushels of branches to slap her skin red. They threw flower petals in the air and lit bundles of sage and prayed to the Dios in the old tongue. I watched from a corner, promising not to move, to touch, or to make a sound. Respect the Dios. Protect our magic. Now when Max asks me what happened to him, I know why my mother always changed the topic. Max is different. He defies reason, magic, science. But he's still mine and I have to help him find answers for the both of us. Want to see something cool? I ask him. The cab driver stops in front of my house. Our car is gone, which means that my family is probably out looking for me and I have time to hide Max's. I don't have anywhere else to take him, and despite the tension of the past few months, home has always been the safest place I know. I dig into my jeans and discover I don't have enough cash to cover the ride. The cab driver starts clucking his tongue, demanding his money. I got it, hang on, I say. Max stares at the divider. He traces a crack that splinters from the center. Then I realize Max isn't wearing his own clothes. They're too tight and dated. Where did he get them? Who did he take them from? How did I just notice a dark stain on the pant leg? But before I can start to answer all of this, we have to get inside. I reach into his back pocket and pull out a thin leather wallet. A voice in the back of my head tells me there's something wrong, to put it back and listen to the warnings I've been giving. You've betrayed me. You must free me. But instead I open the wallet and pull out the bills I need, plus a big tip to keep the driver's mouth shut. I put the wallet in my hoodie pocket and decline the receipt he offers me. The taxi pulls away the second I shut the door. Max's walks ahead of me and through the front gate, looking up at my narrow old house. You've never let me in here before, he says, holding his hands out for me to take. I smile, but it hurts, and I take the arm he offers. Maxis always wanted to plan dinners with my parents, but I always came up with an excuse. Release gives me a moment of clarity. Maybe he's slowly getting his memory back. Maybe everything will work out. I turn the key and leave my sneakers at the front door. The statue of La Mama with her broken hand stares at me as I shut the door. It smells like Christmas, he says. Every word slow and thoughtful. Max has always had a calm, relaxed quality about him that I loved. He wasn't as hyper or loud as some of the other boys on the team, but the stillness of the way he's speaking now feels wrong. Rose baked, I say. I might be imagining things. I should be happy he's here. He's really here. Are you hungry? He jerks back when he sees my hand reaching for his cheek. His eyes widen. The blue turns pale. His pupils shrink to pinpricks. He rakes his nails across his throat, leaving sharp red lines. Oh, God. I ate. What's wrong? I ask, still reaching. It's okay. Whatever it is, I'm going to help you. He keeps walking backwards towards the front door. I want to grab him. I want to help him. I want to hold him in my arms and fix this, whatever this is. But he walks into the statue of La Mama. The statue topples over, and I dive to grab it, pressing it against my chest. Blood seeps through the bandage on my arm. I'll have to change it later. I pull myself up and put the statue back in place. I should go home, he pieces a foyer. My mom is waiting for me. I was supposed to play, and I forgot. I should go home. Wait, I say, keeping my distance. He's like a spooked horse, and I don't know what set him off. You can't. Why? He squints and presses his hands against his temple, as if the light in the living room is too bright. I flick it off, leaving only the sunset casting a warm glow through the windows. He turns around, pressing his fingers against the wall. He grinds his teeth and slams his fist over and over until it goes through. Stop it. You're going to hurt yourself. I can't. Everything already hurts. I don't know. I don't know what is wrong with me. He pulls his hands back, bits of sheetrock crumbling around his bloody fist. He wipes his hand on his jeans. He looks at them. They're still dirty. I'm sorry. Your parents aren't home. It's a lie, but how can I send him home like... What if he hurts himself? Excuse me. What if he hurts himself? Or worse, what if he hurts someone else? He had to stay here for a little while. Do you trust me? His eyes snap up in my direction. He takes my face in his hands, and for the first time since I've known him, a pang of fear strikes my heart. How can you ask me that? Of course I do. I rush to the closet in our infirmary room, where we keep spare clothes for our patients, and grab a clean white shirt and sweatpants. Hopefully they'll fit better than what he's wearing now. As I make my way out of the infirmary and down the hall, my footsteps are heavy. There are too many questions floating around my head. Too many things to do. So I focus on what I can handle right now. Get Max's clean. Make a calming draught. Get him fed. Draught. In my head, he's old Max's. Playful Max's. Sweet Max's. I smell like a dumpster, he says, when I push open the bathroom door. He takes his clothes off and tosses them in a pile on the corner. How can you be around me? This is nothing compared to the way you stink after you've been practicing for 8 hours straight. I get the water running for him because the knobs are old and reversed. What the F? He shouts. I look up to see him stare at his chest. Where did all these scars come from? I'm afraid he's going to punch another hole in the wall. I don't move. I look at him and tell him as much truth as he'll be able to handle. We had an accident. You keep forgetting. But he doesn't rage out. He wipes the steam from the mirror and looks at himself. I can't tell what's a memory and what's a dream. I'm sorry I scared you before. It's okay, I say, but my gut tells me it isn't. It'll be okay. He frowns, dark eyebrows knitting together. His fingers, cold and gentle, skim the scars on my cheeks. Was this from the accident too? I nearly jump out of my skin. It's been days since my last bellasa canto. I'll hold my hand over my scars. No, Lula, he says, taking my hands in his. He kisses my scarred knuckles. I swear, I didn't mean to make you feel bad. I've always loved your face. Still do. When he talks like that, it's easy for me to want to forget everything that happened, to want things to go back to the way they used to be for so long. But Max's skin has a dual paleness that worries me. I rest my hand on his shoulders, try not to wince at how cold he is. I can hardly breathe as my hand roams the muscles of his chest. Searching. I found it. The whisper of his heartbeat. So faint, it's hardly there at all. While Max gets cleaned up, I work on his sleeping draught? I said word again. Sleeping draught? In the infirmary. It's strange being in here, putting a potion together after avoiding it for months. The walls are papered with a green leaf pattern that looks newer than any part of our old house. Ma says it makes patients feel more at home. Alex thinks that the kind of folk who come to us for healing can't get to a hospital anyway, so they won't mind the faded paint in the rest of the house. The room is filled by an exam table, 2 twin beds for patients to sleep, and a giant altar dedicated to La Esperanza, goddess of size and all the world's goodness. I'll find the ingredients I need against the wall with blackout curtains. The shelves are lined with jars in all shapes and sizes that contain ingredients from every corner of the world. The tears of an infant, the feathers of a blue jay, the eyes of the gopis, the hair from a widow's head, all alphabetized by Rose on one of the nights she couldn't sleep. I turn on the electric kettle and get the jars I need. I scoop dried poppy leaves, chamomile oil, and fresh lavender into a tea pouch. I hold the tea and stand in front of the altar of La Esperanza. Fresh flowers in tall vases of water are set around her feet. Her dress is bright pink, and a crown of silver stars and lilacs rests on her pale pink hair. I want to say something. I rezo to make up for all the prayers that have died on my lips, but it's like the words are caught in my throat, so instead I light one of the tea candles. La Muerte's shadow voice echoes in my mind. You do not know what you've created. Lula? Max shouted my name and I jump. I hear the rattle of the fence outside and go to the window. Rose is opening the gates so my mom can pull into the garage. I hurry out into the hall where Max is shirtless, his black hair dripping water down his neck, the dirty clothes and towel are in a bundle in his hands. He holds his hand up to shield his eyes from the light in the hallway. Come, I say, trying to remain calm, so it's not just for his sake now. The door downstairs opens, and I hear my sisters call my name. Alex shouts, Lula, you better be home. I'm fine, I'm in my room. I shut the door once Max and I are inside. I hit the lights, leaving only my reading lamps on. He stares at every detail. The midnight blue comforter and white pillows are undisturbed. The flowers at my bedside are long dead in their vase. Max gave them to me a month ago, when he was trying to cheer me up, and I simply couldn't. I set the tea on the bedside table and close the curtains. I find a match and light some of the dusty candle stubs. My altar has never been this neglected. My first impulse is to clean it. I've offended the gods enough to last me a lifetime. If I even get a whole lifetime after this mess, right now all I care about is helping Max's. After all, the Dios abandoned me first. Your parents don't know I'm here? He asks softly. I shake my head. It's complicated. He stands behind me and wraps his head around my waist. I flinch as his fingers graze the line of stitches on my belly. I breathe through the pain. After all the magic my family spent on me, they should be healed by now. I can hide, he whispers against my ear. I think I could get used to you taking care of me. I turn around in his arms and reach for the tea. Start by drinking this. It'll stop your headache and help you sleep. He takes the mugs from my hand, but sets it back down on the nightstand. He walks across the length of my room and points to a map of the world pinned to a wall. I had this idea that I'd put a pin in every place I'll travel to one day. But the only pin is in New York. The rest of the world untouched and foreign to me. Maxis takes a pin from my desk. He stares at it for a little while. Can I? He asks. I stand next to him and place my hands on his hips and lean into him. He smells like soap and something I can't quite place. Something that shouldn't be there. Smoke? Maybe it's just from the matches I used to light the candles. He traces his finger from New York to Europe. His finger draws a few circles like he's searching and can't quite find the place. And then he lands on Kiev, Ukraine, and pushes the pin. My mom took me once, he says, when my grandmother passed away. She was 110 years old, the oldest woman in her village. He's told me this story before, but I smile and say, "That's amazing. I have good genes." He pushes his shoulder against mine and smirks. "I'll bet I'll live until I'm 110, like her." But she didn't, I think, and a pain tugs at my belly. "Maxis," I start to say. I have to try to explain to him everything that's happened. That way we can get some answers together. I know my family will be upset, but Alex will understand. She has to. There's a hard knock on the door. I feel Max's tense all over. Speaking of a pain in my neck, Alex yells from the other side of my door, "Lula, what the hell is wrong with you?" Max's twitches like the thud of her fist is causing him physical pain. I try to soothe him, running my hands along his arms. He shuts his eye and shoves me away. He loses his own balance in the process and ends up falling against the closet door with a loud thud. "Lula, are you okay?" Alex jostles the locked doorknob. "What happened to the wall downstairs?" "I was working out anger issues," I shout. "Leave me alone." "My head," Maxis says through gritted teeth. "Close your eyes," I whisper. I brush my legs along his temple, his ear, his jaw. I brush his hair back and murmur soft sounds to try to calm him down. The calming potion. I pick up the cup and bring it to his lips. It tastes a little weird, but it'll help you sleep. "Lula!" "This is disgusting." Max gags and spits on the floor. "I know, baby." I brush his hair back. I gently tap my finger on his temple, but it'll help you, I promise. He nods and drains a cup. He starts to stumble, the drought taking effect instantly. The drought? I think it's draughts. It's the third time I read that word, but it's like the drought taking effect instantly. I guide him to my bed to break his fall, then pull back the cover so he can get in. He crawls in, then reaches for me. "Lula, Lula." His breath is quick and fluttering. He holds my hand and squeezes so hard I'm afraid he'll crush my bones. "Don't go. Leave that light on, please." "I'm not going anywhere, okay? I'm right here." I rest my hand on his chest. His skin is cold, colder than rose. When his whistling breath signals he's asleep, I pull off the arm wrapped around my waist. I have to get Alex. But when I sit up and turn around, she's standing in the doorway, a look of terror on her face. "Oh my Lula, what have you done?" Ooh. All right, you guys. Whoever's watching, thank you for watching. And honestly, I'm really into this book, and I think I'm going to come back tomorrow and read the rest. But if you aren't watching my live stream, I'll save it to Twitch so you can watch the replay. Oh, hopefully I have the settings. Hopefully I have the settings where it saves. Let me do that right now before I close out of this. I just want to make sure it doesn't delete after I post it. Sorry. Let me just get the settings. Okay, I think it stores okay, it should work. Hopefully, cross my fingers. So if you can't watch the live stream while it's live, it should be saved on Twitch, and then I'm also going to be exporting it to my YouTube channel, so you can watch it in either place. Subscribe to either place. I will in the near future probably do live streaming on on like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, so I can get the chats for all of them. But right now we're just streaming on Twitch, and then just it's complicated. But I'm making it more organized, and I really want to read more books. So anyone that's really interested in reading books, that's what we're going to be doing. Most of the books I read are paranormal. That's just my jam, or like productivity. But no one wants to read a productivity book. I don't think so. Oh, I don't know if this was the first book, because I'm reading this one, but then I have this one. Oh, this is the first book, Labyrinth Lost. I was just so like, I just want to start reading, and I did it. I forgot I had that. Oh my gosh, this is the first part of the book. I wonder if there's the third part. Because I'm reading the. So we might have to use this, read this after, so we know the first part. And then maybe there's a third book. I'll look it up. And then, so I guess read this. This will probably take like 2 more live stream sessions to finish. Then we'll read the first part. Maybe we'll see. Because then sometimes I'm like, I just want to get to a new book. Or are you going back in time? But after that one, I want to read. After either both those books or one of those books, we're gonna read this one next. It's called Hotel Magnifique, and it's like about a magical hotel that like arrives in a different destination each midnight. So I'm really excited about this one, but I knew how to read these books first. And I also have Hocus Pocus, which has Hocus Pocus 2. So I don't know if I just want to read the sequel. I haven't watched the movie, so I kind of want to read this first. I probably won't read part 1, but I'll probably read part 2, which is the sequel. I haven't decided. I don't know which books to read first. We'll figure it out. And that is it. Thank you for coming to the live stream, and please hit the follow if you're watching this replay, if you can, if you'd like. And I will be back. I'll have a schedule eventually, but again, you can always watch the replays. I know some people like being in the live streams. I will get a schedule eventually. This is something I really like and I really want to do. And it's like, what is it? 2 stones, 1. Like I just it's productive, and I really like it. And for people that also want to read more books, or hear books, however it is, but can hear me reading, and yeah, some cool books. Supernatural, I guess not paranormal, but like supernatural books. Those are like the kinds of books I like. Fiction. Yeah, supernatural books. I like supernatural everything. Okay, you guys. Good night. It is 10 o'clock my time. I'm gonna start packing. I'm moving in less than 2 weeks. Way less than 2 weeks. So, yeah. So have a good night. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.